A single mother spends her days picking up vegetables discarded by others at the market. If she arrives late, she might go hungry all day. Her thoughtful eldest daughter and son carefully select each vegetable. They know this is their only source of food. But second daughter keeps complaining about how hard life is. Even though her mother has prepared a delicious meal, she keeps complaining. The mother can only smile and comfort her, promising to buy a chicken tomorrow. Lisa finally showed a satisfied smile on her face. Milan was washing dishes at a restaurant to earn a meager wage. While working, she also had to take care of her young daughter. To avoid being discovered by the boss, Milan had to hide her daughter in a cabinet. When the daughter got hungry, she could only eat the leftovers from customers. A mousetrap caught the girl's attention, and she curiously reached out her hand. She then screamed, claiming there was a mouse. The boss was very unhappy upon hearing this. Milan hurriedly took her daughter to the hospital. When she returned, the boss informed her that she had been fired. Milan asked the boss to settle the wages she had earned for the month. The boss told Milan that because her daughter had shouted that there was a mouse, scaring away all the customers, the losses would have to be borne by Milan. No matter how Milan argued with him, she still didn't receive the wages she deserved, so they returned home early. Ellie immediately noticed her sister's bandaged hand. Anna bit her lip and looked at her tearful mother before quietly telling her sister what had happened. Milan's tears flowed uncontrollably. She felt like she wasn't a good mother. Ellie quickly called her two sisters to comfort their mother. Anna also said her hand didn't hurt at all, but she was very hungry now. When Milan stood up to cook, Lisa said she didn't want to eat the leftover vegetables anymore. Mom had promised to buy meat today. Milan agreed with tears in her eyes. Ellie accused her sister of being unreasonable and not understanding how hard their mother worked. Milan heard her two daughters arguing. At that moment, she felt so helpless that she couldn't help but cry as she walked outside. Milan went to the convenience store, but the owner refused to let her buy anything on credit. She walked dejectedly down the street and returned to the restaurant that night. This money was the result of her hard work and sweat. Milan said with determination that this money was her children's hope. The owner was even more vicious and wanted to chase Milan away. Milan went straight to the kitchen. No one could stop her from feeding her children. She packed the food and left in a hurry. While running away, a man lying on the ground asked her for help. Milan looked around but decided to stay. She noticed the man was seriously injured. She comforted him, saying an ambulance would arrive soon. Upon hearing the ambulance, Milan hurriedly left. This act of kindness would forever change Milan's life. That morning, the entire family enjoyed a hearty breakfast. However, Ellie was deeply worried because she had learned from Anna that her mother had been fired and hadn't received her wages, so she asked her mother where the food came from. Milan could only hide in the kitchen and cry, but she still told her daughter the truth. Ellie understood that her mother had done everything for her children to ease her mother's burden. Ellie also went to her classmate's store to work part-time. The man Milan had saved also woke up. His name was Riga, and he was the boss of a large company. He asked his subordinates to find the woman who had saved him that day. That day, Milan sought help from her sister Jenny, hoping she could look after her younger daughter out of respect for her late husband. But when Jenny arrived home, she brought along a couple. They chatted animatedly, and then the man handed Jenny an envelope. Jenny looked at the money inside and was very satisfied. It turned out she intended to give it to Anna. Anna was so scared she quickly snuggled into Milan's arms. She kept whispering, "Mom, don't leave me." Jenny kept persuading Milan, "You can't afford to raise so many children now. It's best for Anna to go with them. At least Anna won't have to worry about going hungry anymore." In Milan's heart, family bonds were unbreakable. She chased them all out. Meanwhile, Ellie accidentally broke a vase while visiting a client, which was seen by Tyler in the elevator. He immediately grabbed Ellie's injured hand. At first glance, both of them felt a spark. Tyler thoughtfully brought some tissues. He told Ellie she needed to go to the hospital to clean the wound. Ellie kept stammering that she would compensate him. Tyler told her not to worry. He would handle everything. The most important thing now was to prevent the wound from getting infected. After Ellie finished bandaging her wound, Tyler offered to drive her home. However, Ellie politely declined and apologized to Tyler. Though reluctant to leave, Tyler smiled and departed. Ellie's eyes betrayed a hint of anticipation. Meanwhile, Jenny discovered a secret about Riga's girlfriend, Laura. At the door, Laura had been hiding from Riga that she had a 5-year-old son. Jenny had already had enough of Laura's behavior. Jenny decided to embarrass Laura. She stopped a car and gave Laura a surprise in front of Riga. Riga, standing nearby, suppressed his anger. After the boy left, he finally exploded in rage. The one thing he couldn't tolerate in life was being betrayed by someone he trusted. The Milan family was also dealing with a leaky roof. Just as they were struggling, the landlord knocked on the door. She informed Milan that they had to move out within 2 days because they owed too much rent. Her husband had leased the land out. Misfortune never comes alone. One problem followed another. Milan tried to comfort the children, assuring them that they would find a way. Ellie and her mother kept cleaning until late at night to make room for Victor. The four of them had to squeeze onto a small bed. Riga canceled Laura's endorsement deal but hadn't found a suitable replacement yet. Tyler had also found his brother, but they disagreed. Meanwhile, Riga couldn't stop thinking about Milan, who had saved him that night. He believed she was an angel in disguise. Tyler hoped his brother could separate love from business. Just then, Milan received a call from the police. She and Ellie rushed to the police station. Victor had been arrested for getting into a fight while racing. Milan pleaded with the other party's parents to drop the charges against Victor. The man did not sympathize with Milan, a single mother. At that moment, a police officer approached Milan and informed her of a negative report. It turned out that the restaurant owner had accused Milan of taking his food. Thus, Milan was also detained. At that moment, she felt lost in life. The three sisters were all saddened by their mother's absence. Anna kept crying, unable to sleep because her mother was not home. The next day, the police found the restaurant owner and Milan. Milan told the police that the restaurant owner had not paid her wages, and out of desperation, she had taken food from the kitchen to feed her children. She now realized her mistake and promised to repay the money in the future. However, the malicious owner refused to settle. The police told him that if Milan's account was true, he would face legal consequences. The guilty owner eventually dropped the charges against Milan. Justice may be delayed, but it never fails to arrive. Although her own matter was resolved, Milan was still worried about Victor, who was still in custody. At that moment, Jenny called her. She told Milan that she had found her a job. She hurried back home to tell her daughters the news and then went to find Jenny. Jenny arranged her work and left. Originally, she had planned to have Milan come to her house to clean, but Riga accidentally saw her. Milan was the person he had been searching for all along. Just then, Jenny walked in and immediately noticed Riga's intentions. Riga called Jenny aside to inquire about Milan's situation, to help Milan advance. Jenny did not reveal the truth. She told Riga that Milan's husband had passed away 2 years ago and that she was currently single. When Riga asked about children, she kept it to herself. She praised Milan as an honest and ambitious young woman. Riga's face lit up with satisfaction. He then asked Jenny to tell Milan to come to the company for work. Jenny quickly found Milan and told her about Riga's offer. She also mentioned that Riga had inquired about her marital status. However, she didn't reveal that she had 4 children. Her intuition told her that Riga had fallen for Milan. Jenny then took Milan into the room and brought out all her daughter's clothes. She asked Milan to pick one to wear to the company. Even after changing, Milan still felt uncomfortable and wanted to refuse. But Jenny brought up the fact that Victor was still locked up. For her son's sake, Milan softened her heart. Jenny then hurriedly said that Riga would advance her salary. Milan finally went to Riga's office with a heavy heart. Riga then took her to the photography studio. He told the makeup artist that he wanted Milan to show her most authentic self. During a break, Milan told Ellie that she would be home late and that her aunt would help bring food over. Jenny's arrival seemed to be unwelcome to the sisters. Ellie and Lisa, who didn't want to stay with their aunt, ran out. At the same time, Tyler asked his assistant to find Ellie's phone number. It turned out that Ellie had dropped her necklace in the car when she got out that day, so he called Ellie and asked her to tell him where she was so he could return the necklace. Ellie told Tyler to wait while she asked for directions and then hurried over. After returning the necklace to Ellie, Tyler asked her if the photo on it was from her childhood. Ellie told Tyler it was a photo of her siblings. Tyler then helped Ellie put the necklace back on. Both of them felt their hearts racing. Ellie then hurriedly left. After Milan finished filming, Riga drove her home. However, she was worried about what others might say, so she got out of the car early. Now that Milan had a job, she no longer had to take her child to pick vegetables. Finally, she could cook the food she loved. When Tyler returned home, his mind was filled with thoughts of Ellie. Riga kept reminiscing about holding Milan's hand. Jenny told Riga that Milan was currently facing some difficulties. Riga agreed and asked how much money was needed. Jenny quickly passed the message on to Milan. Milan told Ellie to notify Victor that he would be out soon. After receiving the money, Milan hurried to the police station. Jenny took half of it for herself. They found the man and reached a settlement. Milan then followed Riga to the new filming location. Facing the camera, Milan still seemed very uncomfortable. His frequent mistakes drew laughter from the crowd. Although the results were not satisfactory, Riga encouraged Milan. saying that she did a good job. Milan thought that they had finished for the day and planned to go home. Riga told her that they had to shoot early the next morning. He was afraid that Milan would not get enough sleep and insisted that she stay. Milan did not return home late at night, and her siblings had a big argument. Victor felt something was wrong, so he called his mother using Ellie's phone. He asked Milan to tell him where she was so he could come pick her up. At that moment, there was a knock on the door. Milan hung up the phone after a few hurried words. This made Victor feel even more uneasy. It turned out to be the cleaning lady coming to collect the snacks. Milan saw that the snacks hadn't been touched and decided to stay. She picked up her backpack and started packing. Then she hid in the car. But the cleaning lady discovered her. She confessed her feelings to the cleaning lady, who helped her get back home, and told Milan to come back at 5 in the morning to pick her up. Upon returning home, Milan checked on each of the children. Just as she lay down, it was almost time, so she hurriedly got up again. As she was leaving, Ellie woke up. It was still dark, and she was worried about her mother. Milan told her she had brought some snacks back and to make sure her younger siblings ate them when they woke up. She then took a chocolate bar from the bag and asked her to give it to Anna. Victor came in and started arguing with his sister again, so he asked Ellie to call her aunt and find out exactly what her mother was doing. Jenny replied that her mother was working so hard to earn money so that her brother and sister wouldn't go hungry. Milan no longer felt shy and quickly finished the shoot. She hurried back home. When Riga found out, he flew into a rage, asking why Milan had gone home without telling him. Milan had just arrived home when Riga rushed over. Not knowing what to do, she could only ask Riga to wait outside. She told Anna that they would play hide and seek and then quietly left. In the car, she kept texting Ellie, asking her to go home and look after her sister. Ellie, who was at work, didn't have her phone with her. Her friend heard her phone ringing nonstop in her bag and handed it to her. Anna, who was hiding in the closet, didn't see her mother for a long time and ran out of the house. When Ellie returned home, she didn't see her sister. Ellie wanted to tell her mother, but the phone was in her aunt's hand. Jenny didn't answer and hung up directly. At this point, more and more neighbors had gathered around. A young auntie said that she often saw Milan getting out of a luxury car. Lisa told them not to slander her mother. Victor chased them all away. This made Victor even more curious about his mother's job. He decided to go to his mother's workplace to investigate. Ellie could only turn to her aunt for help. Jenny was afraid the truth would come out, so she asked her daughter, who worked at the front desk, to help. She asked her to think of a way to prevent Victor from entering the company. When Victor arrived, the security guard threw him out. Ellie, who had rushed over, took him back. On the way, Ellie kept comforting Victor. In a fit of anger, he left his sister and ran off. At that moment, Tyler, who was passing by, noticed Ellie. He offered to take her home, but she refused. Ellie hurriedly got on the bus. Tyler didn't start his car and went straight to the bus stop. Ellie smiled slightly, and the thoughtful Tyler noticed that she didn't look well, so he took Ellie to the hospital. The results showed she had low blood sugar. The doctor said she probably hadn't eaten properly for a few days. Afterward, the two went to the beach and ate hamburgers. Milan was also preparing for the evening banquet. Laura came over, but Jenny stopped her. To get back at Jenny, Laura found a servant she trusted. She asked her to secretly take the shoes Milan was going to wear that night. Then Laura yanked the heel off. Riga also brought Milan a diamond necklace. The banquet began with thunderous applause. The heel slipped, and Milan fell off the steps. In her unconscious state, she kept murmuring about the children. Jenny was so scared that she hurriedly told her not to speak. Riga picked up Milan and rushed her to the hospital. That night, Jenny brought food for the children, but she didn't tell the siblings about Milan's injury. Victor asked Jenny again what her mother's job was and why she had to work day and night. Jenny angrily told them that if Milan didn't work so hard, they wouldn't even have a place to live. She also blamed Victor for being too reckless in coming to the house. If the company found out the truth, Milan would lose her job, because she had said before that she didn't have children. Otherwise, who would hire a woman who had given birth? Jenny's words left the siblings speechless. When Milan returned late at night, she was worried about the children and wanted to go home, but Riga politely refused her. Jenny could only return the phone to Milan so she could inform her family. Tyler was also suffering from the pains of love. He paced back and forth, his mind filled with images of Ellie. Ellie, who was secretly infatuated with Tyler, was thinking about his thoughtfulness. It was destined that the two of them would have a sleepless night. Having not seen her daughter for a day, Milan missed her dearly, so Jenny notified Ellie to bring her sister over. However, the time they spent together was short, so Ellie was late for work. When she arrived, she overheard her classmate's father discussing her. He said that everyone in her family had issues. Her father was a thief. and her brother had just been arrested. These words pierced Ellie's heart like needles. With tears in her eyes, she told them, "If you care so much about the mistakes a child's father made, then I'll give up this job." Back home, Ellie cried bitterly. Just then, Tyler called. He was nearby and wanted to see her, so Tyler took the two sisters to the park. Anna and Tyler played together harmoniously. When the two were alone, Tyler held Ellie's hand and confessed his feelings to her with deep emotion. Ellie hurriedly took her sister and left, leaving Tyler behind with a sorrowful expression. That day, the siblings were eating inside the house when the landlord arrived with a demolition crew. Debris from the roof fell onto the table, and the siblings went out to argue. No matter how much Ellie pleaded, the house was ruthlessly demolished. They had no place to live and could only sit dejectedly among the ruins. Ellie encouraged her younger brother and sister to be as strong as their mother. "Mom is like a towering tree that won't be shaken by wind or rain, and we are a family. We will never be separated, no matter what." So the group took advantage of the night to find their mother. Anna immediately rushed forward to find her mother. Jenny hurriedly stopped Anna. Milan looked panicked. Riga mistakenly thought that Milan couldn't adapt to so many people staring at him. To avoid further misunderstandings, Jenny took everyone to a quiet place. Milan still sneaked over. Riga also quickly found her. Seeing so many children, he asked Jenny whose family they were. Terrified, she could only claim that they were her distant relatives. Just as they were about to arrange a place for them to stay, they happened to run into Milan and exchanged greetings. Riga recognized Ellie and looked at Anna, saying that they were the sisters they had almost collided with that day. Jenny quickly made up an excuse to brush it off. The siblings could only stand there dumbfounded as their mother left. Back in the room, Jenny told the children that their mother was now a spokesperson for a large company and could earn a lot of money. "You won't have to live a hard life anymore." Lisa told her that they had come because their house had been demolished. After hearing this, Jenny told her siblings not to tell Milan about it. Victor felt very upset and ran out with his things. Jenny was worried and quickly followed them, giving them some money. After finishing his work, Milan hurriedly found Jenny. He found that the children had already left, so he called Ellie. Her younger siblings told her not to answer. Ellie could only hold the phone tightly, feeling heartbroken. Milan was very worried about her daughter and son, so she hurried back home. But there was no home left. All that remained was a pile of rubble. She cried helplessly, overwhelmed by grief. Milan angrily found the landlord and confronted him, demanding to know why he had demolished the house. If anything happened to them, she would never forgive him. With the help of her classmates, Ellie also arrived at the store where she used to work. Her classmates told them to stay there for the night. Two kind-hearted children noticed the lights inside and notified the store owner. The man rushed over angrily and threatened to call the police. The four siblings were immediately kicked out. With nowhere to go, they could only head to the riverbank in the park. Even the homeless people bullied them, telling them this was their territory. They could only go to a large tree with no lights. Milan walked several blocks but couldn't find the children. Her eyes were already filled with tears. She came to the park feeling lonely and happened to find the siblings under the tree. Victor accused his mother. "When we were worried about you, you were living your own life, and when we needed you, you ignored us." Milan could only cry and explain that no matter what she had done, it was all for them. Victor told his mother to leave immediately. Milan looked at Lisa and Ellie but did not receive their forgiveness. Milan fainted from anger, and the three sisters rushed to check on her. Family bonds cannot be erased by a few angry words. Victor also let go of his stubborn facade and threw himself into his mother's arms. He kept repeating that he was just too afraid of losing his mother. The family embraced tightly, huddling under the tree until dawn. When they returned to the villa, Jenny told them that there was no mother or aunt here, only relatives. Early the next morning, Riga found the small house where Milan had once lived. Looking at the ruins before him, he stepped inside and accidentally stepped on Milan's family photo. When he tried to look closer, the landlord asked him who he was looking for. Riga asked a few simple questions and left. In order to find a place for the children, Milan found Riga and told him that the filming had ended and hoped he could pay the remaining balance. Riga told Milan that he had left a room in the villa for him to stay in. Milan said that he was a widower and was afraid of people talking. At that moment, a customer interrupted their conversation. Victor found a part-time job walking dogs. Lisa also started working at a beauty salon. Ellie was helping her aunt with the housework. That day, Riga found Milan and gave her the remaining money, but he still hoped Milan would stay in the big villa. Milan insisted on renting a place elsewhere. Jenny also found Riga and asked if she could leave the children to stay for a while. Riga gladly agreed. With Jenny's help, the family found a suitable place to live. That evening, Riga invited Milan to dinner. He took the opportunity to propose to her, but Milan refused his generous offer. She then returned the expensive necklace to Riga and left in a hurry. On her way back, Jenny stopped her. She was excitedly asking Milan when the wedding would be. At that moment, Riga's angry shout was heard. He angrily overturned the table. Jenny continued to persuade Milan. Milan said she only loved her own child. She didn't want to hide anything from Riga anymore, as it would only make her feel more uneasy. Back in the room, Milan told her siblings that once her work was done, they would all live together forever. Ellie, however, was deep in thought. She had heard everything Riga had said to her mother. Unable to sleep, she quietly found her mother and told her what she had heard. Ellie was worried that Riga would turn his love into hatred. Milan hurriedly explained that Riga was a good person and there was no need to worry. When Ellie returned, she happened to bump into Tyler. She lost her balance and fell into Tyler's arms. Tyler gently helped Ellie to the chair and thoughtfully wiped the water off her shoes. This heart-wrenching scene was witnessed by Jenny. When Ellie cautiously came out, Jenny grabbed her and slapped her across the face. She scolded Ellie, saying, "Your mother is going to be with his brother, and you want to be with his younger brother?" No matter how Ellie explained, Jenny said she only believed what she saw with her own eyes. She warned Ellie to stay away from Tyler, or else she wouldn't hesitate to take action. The next day, Tyler found Ellie again and told her about his determination. Ellie still refused, believing the gap between them was too great. She also understood her own status as a poor girl. Ellie told him that princes and princesses only exist in fairy tales, and she wasn't the Cinderella in the story. Tyler told Ellie he was willing to do anything for her, hoping she would believe it was true. Jenny took all the money from Milan's bag to keep her there. Milan woke up to the noise. Jenny pretended she had come to call her for breakfast. When Milan finished getting ready, she discovered the money was missing from her bag. She panicked and found Jenny. Jenny suggested they search the house. The family turned the house upside down but found nothing. Milan kept blaming herself for being careless. Ellie told her to think carefully and see if she had forgotten where she put it. Lisa casually mentioned that maybe someone had taken it. Upon hearing this, Jenny became furious. Milan hurriedly explained that they were all family, and she was the children's aunt. They had no other intentions. Lisa and Victor comforted Milan, saying that they both had stable jobs now. "Mom, you don't have to work so hard anymore." Ellie said that once she graduated, she could also get a full-time job. Even Anna was eager to go out and work to earn money. The family returned to their former happiness. They embraced each other, but Jenny was still shaken. Milan's refusal made Riga even more determined. He ordered his men to investigate Milan's background. David accidentally let it slip in front of Jenny's daughter. She hurriedly informed Jenny. Jenny rushed to find Milan's former neighbor. With the mother and daughter's cooperation, David arrived at the designated location. The woman, who had been looking around nervously, spotted him immediately. Following Jenny's instructions, the woman repeated the message word for word to the man. That day, Milan told Jenny he wanted to find a new job, but the maid overheard. She immediately informed Laura. Laura told her to secretly find Milan and tell him there was a restaurant hiring. When Milan arrived at the restaurant, he started working immediately without even going through an interview. At that moment, Jenny called and told her that Riga was looking for her everywhere. "You had promised him that you would attend the banquet." Milan could only tell her the truth. She said she would finish her work at the restaurant and try to get back as soon as possible. Laura also received news about the banquet. In order to prevent Milan from attending the banquet, she asked the manager to delay Milan as much as possible. Just as Milan was about to leave work, the manager began to make things difficult for her. When Milan entered the warehouse, he locked her inside. Laura, who wanted to regain her position, showed up uninvited. Riga tried to stand up and get angry, but Tyler held him back. By the time the banquet ended, Riga hadn't seen Milan. He went to find Jenny. Jenny said she couldn't contact her either and had only heard that she went to work at the restaurant. Riga rushed to the restaurant, but the manager claimed there was no one named Milan there. So Riga called Milan's phone. When he heard the ringtone, Riga grabbed the manager. He took Riga to the warehouse but found that the lock was broken. Milan inside was almost frozen stiff. Riga told Milan that if anything happened to her today, he wouldn't want to live either. Milan was startled awake from her dream. She took a deep breath. Thankfully, it was just a dream. Early in the morning, Riga found Milan and told her not to go to the restaurant anymore. If it was because of money, he could provide it. Milan still refused Riga's kindness. She believed that she was still capable of earning money. Riga said that if she needed a job, she could stay there. His 7-year-old son was about to return, and he needed a nanny who knew the family well. Milan could only agree reluctantly. Jenny received another call from the woman. She asked Jenny if the gemstone necklace she had given her yesterday was fake. Now she planned to tell David the truth. Jenny hurried back to her room and took out all her daughter's wedding items. She quickly found Alice. Alice counted them and thought 7 pairs of gold bracelets were too few. Jenny thought she was asking for too much and treating her like a cash cow. Alice told Jenny that David had offered 10 times the current price. If you can come up with the cost of my daughter's 4 years of university, I can keep quiet. For Milan's sake. Jenny reluctantly agreed, but she told Alice she didn't have that much money. Alice was firm: no money, no deal. She then pulled out a family photo of Milan's family. Just then, David rang the doorbell. Jenny begged Alice to help her. Alice refused and insisted on opening the door. In desperation, Jenny knocked Alice unconscious, but David kept knocking on the door. Jenny had no choice but to ask her daughter to call him away. Then she began to fabricate an accident scene. Tyler found Ellie and told her he could introduce her to the company as a sales consultant. When Ellie went for the interview full of hope, she was rejected. Tyler found the HR manager and accused her of not following his instructions. Rose told him she was just following Riga's orders. Tyler then found his brother, but Riga had no intention of backing down. That night, Tyler waited at the door for Ellie. He apologized for what happened during the interview. He said everything was resolved and hoped Ellie could come to work tomorrow, but Ellie told him she had already found a new job. To apologize to Ellie, Tyler took her out. They went to a yacht but stopped in the middle of the sea. Tyler once again declared his love for her. Under his repeated expressions of genuine feelings, Ellie's heart slowly melted. She also recognized her true feelings, and the two finally got together. Jenny heard the news that Alice had woken up and rushed over. She said tearfully that she hadn't hit anyone and didn't know how hard to hit someone. Alice didn't want to waste her breath on her and told her to prepare more money. If she didn't see the money, she would have to tell the police the truth. After returning home, Jenny told Milan everything that had happened. If she couldn't come up with the money, she might have to spend the rest of her life in prison. She begged Milan to help her. If she could marry Riga, all their problems would be solved. Milan told her to stop talking, but Jenny kept crying, so Milan went back to the hospital. But Alice only wanted money. Back home, Milan and Jenny's conversation was overheard by the Ellie sisters. Facing their sister's doubts, the family sat down to discuss a solution. Jenny said the only hope now was for Milan to marry Riga, but Victor firmly opposed it, saying he would raise the money. At that moment, Ellie also told her mother, "You're still young and beautiful. You have the right to choose love and be loved. If you truly love Riga and want to marry him, I will bless you." Just as the family was at a loss, Victor returned with a large bag of money. Milan didn't want her child to do something foolish. Victor said he would pay the money back later. "This was only to save you and your aunt." Milan was furious and told Victor to return the money immediately. If he continued to be so stubborn, she would personally send him to prison. For the sake of the child and the family, Milan found Riga and told him she was willing to marry him. Riga held her hand excitedly and said he would never regret today's decision. Just then, Laura burst in and told Riga she was pregnant. She then pulled out the test results from her bag. Milan told Riga that their feelings shouldn't harm an innocent child. Riga returned to the room in despair, but Laura clung to him like a lifeline. She said happily in his ear, "You have a son, and I have a son. Now let's have a daughter together." Riga's anger reached its peak, and he dragged Laura into the car. Laura insisted that the child in her womb was his, but Riga didn't believe her one-sided words and demanded a DNA test, so the two went to the hospital. But the doctor suggested waiting until 9 weeks later for the DNA test. If they did it now, there would be risks, but Riga insisted on doing it in 3 weeks, saying that if the child was his, he would take responsibility. Meanwhile, the boss noticed that money was missing from the safe. He suspected that Victor and his friend had taken it. No matter how the two explained themselves, they were taken to the small warehouse. They refused to admit it. Victor said, "If I took the money, why would I stay in the store instead of running away?" Seeing that they were stubborn, the boss took out a small tool. Victor admitted that he had taken it last night but had put it all back. But the boss didn't believe him. If he put it back, how could it be gone? At that moment, Ellie arrived. She wanted to confirm if Victor had returned the money honestly, but she found the store door locked and shouted outside. The boss, not wanting to be discovered, had his men tell Ellie that everyone had gone out to work and no one was in the store. The two were moved to another detention area. with a barking Tibetan Mastiff nearby. Laura also found Milan and tried to play on his emotions. She said she didn't want to interfere between him and Riga, because she also knew that Riga didn't love her. Now she just wanted the child in her womb to have a stable home. Milan also said he wouldn't marry Riga. He would tell Riga to let her stay. All of this was overheard by Riga behind them. Riga said Laura could stay, but the condition was that she had to stay too. That night, a figure appeared in the warehouse. It was Linda sneaking in. Just as she unlocked Victor's restraints, she was discovered. The two ran out. Victor wanted to go back to save his friend. Linda told him the other party had weapons, and their strength alone wasn't enough. Victor could only return home first. Milan saw him covered in injuries and felt deeply heartbroken. Jenny told her again, "Victor has gone through all this for you. Haven't you thought it through yet?" So Milan found Riga again and told him she had made up her mind to marry him. Riga teased her, "Are you serious this time?" Seeing Milan's determination, he took out the diamond ring he had prepared earlier. Jenny saw the egg-sized diamond ring on Milan's hand and suggested selling it for a good price. Back in the room, Milan told Victor she had found a solution. Victor asked her if she had agreed to Riga's proposal. Jenny hurriedly explained that Riga had only asked Milan to be his son's nanny and had agreed to pay some wages in advance. The observant Ellie still found Milan. Milan told her the truth and asked her to keep it a secret from Victor. That day, Ellie helped serve the food. Tyler saw this and felt sorry for her, but Riga stopped him. When Milan appeared, Riga also acted affectionately, kindly moving a chair for her. Ellie felt embarrassed and ran out, with Tyler chasing after her. He smiled at Ellie and told her not to care about what others think. "No matter what others say or think, I only love you." Jenny sold Milan's ring and had the boss make a fake one. After returning home, Jenny gave Milan half of the money. Victor also rescued his friend. Jenny hurried to Alice's house, but Alice had found Riga and was about to tell him that Milan had a child. Just then, Milan also arrived. When she heard Riga call Milan his fiancé, Alice changed her mind and claimed that she just wanted Milan to settle his previous debts. Upon hearing this, Riga immediately called David and told him to take Alice to the finance department to collect the money. When they came out, they were spotted by Jenny's daughter, so she hurriedly notified Jenny. Jenny rushed to the company. She wanted to claim that she had been attacked by Alice. Ellie also kept ignoring Tyler's calls. He felt very uneasy, so he found Riga. He told him that today he had treated Ellie like a servant, which made him feel very upset, because Ellie was very important to him. Now she wasn't even answering his calls. Riga asked Tyler, "Have you fallen for her?" Tyler told him that he had already considered Ellie a part of his life, but Riga didn't approve of their relationship, believing that Ellie was only after Tyler's money. Tyler disagreed and said that he would marry Ellie no matter what. That evening, in front of Milan, Riga found Ellie and asked her if she was dating Tyler. Ellie denied it. Riga then found Tyler and told him that he had asked Ellie, but her response was, "I don't like you. You've been the one with the crush all along." Tyler explained to Riga that Ellie was afraid he wouldn't approve, so she didn't admit it. Riga told him he'd asked her several times and got the same answer. He comforted Tyler, saying there would be other girls suitable for him. The next morning, Tyler waited at the door for Ellie and asked her why she didn't admit their relationship. "Because of what you said. I couldn't sleep all night." Ellie said she had only spoken her mind and had never liked him. She apologized for the misunderstanding she had caused him. Tyler didn't believe Ellie and asked her if she was facing any difficulties. Ellie said with tears in her eyes that she had never loved him. Tyler looked at Ellie and kissed her directly. Jenny's high-quality replica ring had arrived, and she had even prepared an extra one in case the quality wasn't good. However, their whispered conversation was overheard by Laura. While Milan was picking out a wedding dress, Riga walked over. He saw the ring on Milan's hand and praised it, saying only her hands were worthy of it. At that moment, Laura said it was a pity that the one she was wearing was a fake. Laura said Milan had sold the real one. Riga thought Laura was jealous of Milan and said that's why she was talking like that. Laura hurriedly said she had seen them take the fake ring out of the delivery bag with her own eyes. Riga asked Jenny what was going on. Jenny stammered, and Milan admitted it openly. Riga was very disappointed after hearing this. Laura was still chattering on and on. Riga angrily kicked her out. He then asked Milan why she didn't tell him they were short on money. Milan could only keep apologizing to Riga. Although Riga was very angry, he didn't blame Milan. "Tell her that she is the one who lights up my heart, and tomorrow's wedding will go on as planned." On the night of the wedding, the venue was filled with guests. Milan, dressed in a white gown, outshone everyone else. The three sisters wanted to go and watch, but Jenny stopped them. Just as the wedding was about to end perfectly, a security guard ran over and told Riga that his car had been stolen. The thief had driven off too quickly, and the guard had only managed to grab his hat. Milan recognized the hat's owner immediately. While fleeing, Victor recalled his mother's teachings. Victor wanted to return the car, but Linda refused. She told Victor she would throw the keys out if he could find them in the dark. She would let him drive the car back. Victor felt around in the darkness but didn't realize Linda hadn't thrown the keys out. When Victor stood up and turned around, a car hit him and threw him to the ground. On that dark and windy night, the car owner did not help Victor. Instead, he took him to a quiet place and pushed him down a small hill. Tyler investigated the surveillance footage and found that the person who stole the car looked very similar to Victor. He told the security guard not to call the police and that he would handle it. Tyler then found Ellie and told her that he saw Victor steal the car on the surveillance footage. Ellie said she believed her brother wasn't a thief. She asked Tyler not to tell the police about it. For Ellie's sake, Tyler sneaked into the security room and took Victor's hat. Anna was worried about her mother, so her sister brought her to her mother's room. Before the three of them could say much, Riga pushed open the door. Facing Riga's questions, Lisa panicked and claimed that her mother had always taken good care of her sisters. She had just heard from her aunt that her mother had fainted and came to see if she could help. The next morning, the police returned Riga's car. They said they found it by the roadside but hadn't received any reports of a theft. Riga demanded to know why the security guard hadn't called the police. He told the police that someone had indeed stolen his car last night and asked the security guard to bring the thief's hat. But after searching everywhere, the security guard couldn't find the hat. Meanwhile, Milan was helping Jenny with the housework when Laura happened to walk by. Laura told Riga that Milan was helping Jenny in the kitchen. When he entered the kitchen, he saw Milan vigorously wiping down the countertop. Jenny hurriedly explained that she had told Milan to wait until she finished her current task before cleaning the countertop, but he didn't listen to her. Riga sternly told Jenny that Milan was now the mistress of the house. Please make sure she doesn't touch these chores again. Milan hurriedly explained that it was no big deal since she was just at home and had done these things before. Riga told her that if she was bored, she could go shopping or watch a movie. He then called Milan into the living room and told her to gradually adapt to this new way of life. Everyone should clearly understand their place. Jenny was still upset, so she found Ellie and her sisters. She told them there was a banquet that night and they needed help, so they should lend a hand. At the banquet, Milan saw her daughter serving dishes and felt very upset. This was also Jenny's intention to embarrass Milan. The purpose was to make her know that she was the mistress of the house. That night, Victor's friend Matt found Milan. He told her that Victor might be dead. Just as Milan was at a loss, a black car rushed in. He shouted and pointed the gun directly at Matt. In a panic, Milan pushed him away. Hearing the gunshot, everyone rushed out. Ellie could only whisper, "Mom," but Riga shouted at her to leave. Her cousin also signaled her not to make a sound. Ellie cried helplessly. Her mother was clearly injured, but she couldn't even call out to her mother and could only stand there dumbfounded. She knelt down. Sobbing uncontrollably, she hurriedly called Matt and asked him why he had come looking for her mother so late at night. He told Ellie that Victor had been hit by a black car and he had been searching for him for days but couldn't find him. It turned out that after Victor saved Matt, the boss found them again. If they wanted to resolve this matter completely, they had to help him with one thing. During their conversation, they discovered that the boss had been secretly stealing car engines. Under Linda's plan, Victor went to the garage with her. The next day, Matt only saw Linda return but not Victor. She told Matt everything that had happened. The two of them searched all the hospitals but couldn't find any trace of Victor. Riga at the hospital was also very angry. He told Tyler to find out everything about these people as soon as possible. After saying that, he quietly wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. Tyler noticed and came over to comfort him. "Ever since I was little, you always told me that crying won't solve anything. We have to be strong." At that moment, the nurse came out and told them that Milan had lost too much blood and needed AB-type blood. Ellie rushed over, and Riga asked her what she was doing there. Ellie said she had to come to hear the news. Riga was surprised. He told her that the whole family was there and didn't need any help for now. Ellie's eyes were filled with tears. Jenny hurriedly suggested asking her blood type to see if it matched. When Riga asked, Ellie said hers was AB-type. With Ellie's donation, Milan's life was no longer in danger. Seeing Milan being wheeled into the ward, tears once again streamed down Ellie's cheeks. Seeing her mother in this state, she felt helpless. Even calling out to her mother felt so distant. Jenny hurriedly comforted her, saying, "You still have me and your cousin." At that moment, Matt also contacted Linda and told her their current location. Taking advantage of the darkness, she found Matt. Matt told her that the heartless boss wanted to eliminate them all. After a night of thinking, Linda decided to expose the heartless boss. She returned to the repair shop and turned on the recorder in advance. She found the boss and kept talking about the shady deals they had done in the past. The boss grew suspicious. The cunning man immediately noticed the phone nearby. He then took out a stack of photos, which all showed the cars Linda had stolen before. In the end, Linda was overpowered. Milan also woke up. She was still worried about Victor's safety and got up to leave, but she fainted after taking just a few steps. Victor was also rescued by villagers living in the mountains. When he woke up, 2 days had passed. He wanted to leave, but the man who saved him said Victor was his son. Tyler accompanied Ellie to find an acquaintance at the police station for help. Soon, they received news that the location of the accident vehicle had been discovered. They entered the jungle and searched for a day and night but found nothing. All they could see was a secluded little house. They knocked on the door. Ellie showed the photo, but the man panicked and claimed he had never seen the boy in the photo. He said he was the only one living in the mountains. Just as they were about to leave, Ellie accidentally discovered Victor's jacket. The group broke down the door. The man insisted that Victor was his son. Ellie showed him the childhood photo of herself and Victor. Moved by the bond of family, the man finally released Victor. When Milan woke up, she was emotionally overwhelmed. She couldn't believe her son was dead. At that moment, Riga walked in and asked Milan what had happened to make her so upset. Milan no longer wanted to hide anything and decided to reveal the secret she had been keeping inside. Just then, Ellie's phone rang. She asked Jenny to tell her mother that Victor had been found. When Milan answered the call, their conversation left Riga puzzled. He asked Milan why she cared so much about these children. Jenny hurried over to smooth things over, explaining that she had told Milan it was Ellie who had donated blood for her. Milan felt she should do something for the children, but this explanation did not convince Riga. He told Milan, "I don't want you to feel guilty because of this." Then he asked Milan, "What were you going to tell me earlier?" Milan stammered and looked at Jenny, who was standing nearby. Jenny hurriedly explained that it was a sad story. Milan was actually a close friend of the children's mother. When she passed away, she entrusted her children to Milan. She probably wanted to give the children a little more help. Riga told Milan that if she needed help, she should just tell him and he would take care of it. He didn't want her to suffer anymore because of these things. Meanwhile, Laura quietly slipped into Jenny's residence. She was rummaging through the place and almost discovered Milan's family photo. At that moment, the maid who was keeping watch called to tell her that Jenny's daughter had returned. Ellie brought Victor to the hospital as well. He wanted to go in to see Milan, but Jenny stopped him. Victor didn't know that Milan and Riga were married. She could only tell Victor that Riga was inside talking to his mother. If they went in and caused a commotion, who would pay the expensive medical bills? For his mother's sake, Victor held back. Soon, Milan was discharged from the hospital. Riga took her into her own room, which was decorated like Anna's garden. Riga told her that this would be her room from now on. "I will do my best to make you the happiest woman in the world," she said. Matt was overjoyed to see Victor alive. When Victor asked about Linda, Matt told him that Linda also thought he was dead. To avenge him, she returned to the repair shop and hasn't been seen since. Victor believed that Linda must have been imprisoned by the boss. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and he decided to rescue Linda. Victor returned to the place where she was being held but accidentally knocked something over. The boss gave Linda a choice. If she wanted Victor to live, she had to continue working for him. For Victor's sake, Linda gave in, her eyes filled with tears of reluctance. That day, Riga's beloved son Tom also returned. At the dinner table, Tom was picky about his food. Riga told him that his new mother had made it especially for him. Tom refused to acknowledge Milan as his mother. Laura immediately offered to make him a hamburger. Riga clenched her fists in anger, and Milan comforted her not to get angry. At Anna's birthday party, everyone bought her favorite pastries, but Anna wasn't happy at all. When Ellie brought her the cake, she made an excuse to go to the bathroom and quietly ran outside. She kept watching Milan from afar. Milan also noticed her crying daughter in the distance, but she couldn't do anything. She could only silently pray for Anna to forgive her. Late at night, Tyler met with Ellie. Tyler talked to her about their future. As their feelings grew deeper, their hearts began to stir. But Victor, who had come out for some fresh air, caught them. The two then got into a big argument. Early the next morning, Milan made up for Anna's missed birthday. They took more happy photos together. At that moment, Riga and his son arrived at Milan's door. They knocked for a long time but got no response. When they pushed the door open, the house was empty. They met Riga at the back door of the kitchen. Riga asked Milan why he was up so early. Milan didn't know how to answer. Jenny hurriedly explained that Milan wanted to prepare breakfast for Tom. Riga was very pleased to hear this. Soon, A plate of what looked like delicious handheld rice was ready. Riga grabbed a handful and fed it to Tom. Tom swallowed it with difficulty. After Riga left, Tom quickly spit it out. Milan asked him if it didn't taste good. Tom said he wasn't used to eating this. His mother always made grilled sausage for him, but Milan couldn't understand French. She kept gesturing at various foods. Tom just kept shaking his head. Laura, who was passing by, heard the commotion and rushed into the kitchen. Tom picked up a knife and started banging on the plate. Riga, who heard the noise, also came over. Milan said Tom wanted something else to eat, but she couldn't understand French. Just then, Laura brought over a plate of grilled sausage. Tyler also asked his mom to call him for a blind date, but he wasn't interested and left after a few quick words. He found Ellie and took her and her sisters to the amusement park. Linda found Victor and returned the money he had given to the boss. Then she told him the truth. The money in the safe had never been lost. It was all the boss's scheme to frame Victor and Matt. Linda felt guilty and returned the money to them. Victor took the money and hurried home. He thought that with this money, he could finally move out. When he returned to the front door, he heard Riga tell Tom that Milan wasn't an outsider, she had already married him. Milan, panicking, also noticed Victor outside the door. She didn't know how to deal with all this. Jenny was completely stunned. Milan hurried over to explain to Victor. Victor angrily asked Milan if it was true that she had married Riga. As he had just heard, Milan didn't know how to respond and could only try to calm Victor down. Victor couldn't accept it. He believed that Milan had sold herself to Riga for money. In a fit of anger, he threw the money on the ground. He then went to the amusement park and found Ellie. He confronted the sisters, asking them why they had kept him in the dark. To avoid revealing their identities, Ellie told Victor to come back later, but Victor remained there. Furious, Tyler couldn't stand it anymore. He stepped forward and told Victor to speak to his sister politely. Victor continued to provoke Tyler. Ellie tried to stop him, but Victor dragged her away. The siblings walked back home in the dark. Victor told his sisters to go inside first, saying he had something to talk to his sister about. He couldn't understand why everyone was keeping things from him. Ellie told him that everything their mother had done was to clean up the mess he had made. She had raised them alone with great difficulty. She also had the right to love and be loved as her children. We should support and understand her more. Victor said he wasn't prepared for any of this and disappeared into the darkness. Riga also brought Milan to the villa in the suburbs. The atmosphere was very harmonious, and he planned to spend a romantic night with Milan there. The two of them entered the room and were about to kiss when Riga's phone rang. Laura tells Riga that Tom is vomiting uncontrollably. Fortunately, Jenny snatches the phone and tells Riga that Tom is no longer in critical condition. The beautiful night is shattered once again. Jenny also warns Laura that she ate the same food but didn't get sick, while Tom vomited after eating it. It turned out that Laura had drugged the food Milan had prepared to prevent Riga and Milan from sleeping together. Tom felt unwell after eating just a few bites. As the stepmother, Milan returned and took care of Tom with great care. Riga noticed that Tom's back was soaked through. Milan quickly changed him into a sweat towel. All of this was witnessed by Riga. He felt that Milan was radiating maternal love from the inside out. The three of them slept together on the same bed. However, Milan couldn't sleep at all. She was filled with sorrow and worry for her two children. Victor's rebelliousness was troubling her. Ellie's love was causing her anxiety. The next morning, Milan went to look for Ellie but found that she had already left early, so she went to the store where Ellie worked. However, she was told that Ellie hadn't come to work today either. She then called Ellie's phone, but no one answered. At that moment, Ellie was happily on a date with Tyler. Meanwhile, Jenny had left the young Anna alone at home. She took Milan's diamond black card and went shopping with her daughter. Anna was starving at home. She opened the refrigerator, but it was empty, so she ran outside, where Laura's son saw her and asked her to play. When she walked in, the boy sprayed her with water. Anna could only retreat desperately and accidentally bumped into Tom, who was standing nearby. Riga, who was passing by, saw this and rushed over. He pushed Anna away and asked if his precious son was hurt. He then began to question Anna about why she pushed Tom. Anna explained that it was an accident. Riga responded harshly, saying that her mother must not have taught her properly. At that moment, Victor returned and saw what had happened. He rushed over and pushed Riga's hand away. He told Riga not to bully his sister. The two began to argue, neither willing to back down. Riga slapped Victor, knocking him to the ground. Victor took Anna and left the villa. Back home, Lisa called out for her sister for a long time but couldn't find her, so she asked Jenny if she had gone out with her. Jenny, who had just come back from the mall, said she needed some private space. She told Lisa to go look for her in the garden and that she would be back soon. Lisa searched everywhere but couldn't find Anna. She ran into her mother, who had just returned. She told her mother that Anna was missing. The mother and daughter searched the garden again but still couldn't find her. Jenny returned and saw Milan approaching. She hurriedly handed her bag to the security guard to put away. She looked worried and asked if they had found Anna. Milan said they had searched the entire house but couldn't find her. Everyone shouted to go out and look for her. At that moment, Victor arrived at the door with Anna. He let Anna run inside alone. Back in the room, Anna told Milan to leave Riga alone. Milan asked her why she said that. Anna told him what had happened that morning. Lisa was furious when she heard this. Even if Victor was in the wrong, Riga shouldn't have hit him. At that moment, Ellie also walked in. Milan told Lisa to take her sister away and said he had something to talk to his sister about. Milan still asked Ellie where she had gone instead of going to work today. Seeing Ellie stammering, Milan told her what he had seen in the garden last night. Facing her mother's questions, Ellie said that she had also tried to give up. But the more I give up on love, the more it clings to me. That night, Milan told Riga about Victor. Milan thought Riga was wrong. As an elder, she shouldn't have hit Victor, let alone scold the young Anna. Riga, however, believed they were a bunch of ill-mannered children. The two had a heated argument, and Milan cried sadly. That day, Tom went out to pick up a ball and was taken away by someone. When Tom didn't show up at dinner, the maid went out to look for him. She was told by Laura's son that Tom had run out to pick up a ball and hadn't come back. When she went out herself, she only saw the abandoned soccer ball. The security guard panicked and told Riga, who lost control of his emotions. They then went to the surveillance room and discovered that he had been taken away by a black car. The boss took Victor to the basement. Seeing the innocent Tom, Victor went to comfort him. Tom kept mumbling to himself. Victor asked the boss to let Tom go, but the boss said that the game had only just begun. He then took out his phone and told Victor to call Riga and tell him to prepare $1 million. While the family was discussing the matter, Jenny spoke up, saying it must have been Laura's ex-husband. It turned out that Laura's ex-husband had come looking for his son that day. Laura refused to let them meet. When Drew left, Jenny chased after him. She gave Drew a plan. As long as you find a way to get Laura out of the villa, you can reunite with your son. Riga had already wanted Laura to leave, so this was the perfect opportunity to get rid of her. That night, Jenny found Milan and told her the unknown story. Riga had another son who was kidnapped 16 years ago and had been missing for several years. This was still a deep scar in Riga's heart. Milan also revealed her secret. Victor was not her biological son, but she had long since regarded him as her own son, an inseparable part of her family. Victor and Matt did not want to make a bigger mistake, so they decided to quietly let Tom go. Just as they were leaving, Victor knocked something over, arousing suspicion from the people upstairs. They had no choice but to tie Tom up again. Victor carefully used his hand as a pillow for Tom. At that moment, the boss arrived and told Victor to call Riga according to the pre-written note. He was only allowed to bring the money alone. After receiving the call, Riga went to the designated location alone. Tyler was worried and secretly followed behind. During the transaction, Victor noticed the boss's intentions, so Linda got out of the car to distract the boss. Victor quietly made his way to Tom's car. As Linda was about to get in, she was shot. Soon, the police arrived and took them into custody. On the way back with Tom, Victor wanted to take Linda to the hospital first, but Linda insisted on taking Tom home first. When they left, Tom gave Victor a big hug. Victor kept telling Linda to hold on, and they soon arrived at the hospital. But Linda insisted that she wouldn't go because her gunshot wound would attract the police's attention. Then she took out a small note and told Victor that it contained the words she wanted to say. In the end, Linda fainted in the car. Jenny also arrived at the locked room. She got the photo of Riga's son from 16 years ago. After comparing it with a photo of Victor as a child, she found that the two were identical. Her suspicions grew bolder and bolder. The black-hearted boss who had been arrested refused to admit anything, claiming that he was only responsible for collecting the money. He shifted all the blame onto Victor and even revealed the previous car theft. The police then notified Riga. Riga called Jenny over and asked Victor why he had kidnapped his son. At that moment, Victor had also returned home. Milan tearfully kicked the siblings out of the house. Watching the children leave, her eyes were already filled with tears, but her actions were meant to protect them. Tyler couldn't bear to watch anymore. He asked Riga why she was doing this. Tyler said, "You're afraid of losing Tom. Now he's back safely." But the siblings had become homeless children. Riga told Tyler, "If you think that way, then you have to choose sides between us." Tyler calmly told Riga that no matter what, he would choose Ellie's side. Back in the room, the siblings began arguing again. Ellie accused Victor of not learning his lesson and why he had to provoke that heartless boss again. "Because of your ignorance, you keep causing trouble. and the family wouldn't have ended up in such a mess. As the siblings were about to leave, Milan couldn't bear to part with them and rushed out. She asked Ellie with concern, "Did your aunt find you a place to stay?" Ellie told her, "We don't even know where we're going yet. Just stay in the mansion. Don't worry about us anymore." Lisa also said angrily, "You drove your own children out yourself. Please stop comforting us with your lies. We're already pitiful enough." Milan could only tell the truth. "If I don't kick you all out of here, Riga will hand Victor over to the police. Then we'll lose Victor's entire youth. We've finally gotten the children's understanding." At that moment, the police arrived at the door. They immediately tried to take Victor away. Milan kept explaining that Riga had agreed not to press charges. Victor also said that if he hadn't saved Tom in time, they would have killed him, but the police told him to take it up at the station. Tyler stepped forward to ask what was going on. The police told them they had received a report and were just doing their job. Milan asked who had reported them. The police replied it was Riga. Seeing Victor being taken away, Milan angrily stormed into Riga's room. "You clearly promised me that if I kicked the siblings out of here, you wouldn't complain about them doing this now." Riga told Milan that Victor must take responsibility for his actions. "You need to focus on Tom, not worry about other people's children." Milan was also very firm, "If you don't withdraw your accusations, our relationship is over." Tyler also rushed to the police station to inquire about the situation. A friend told him that Victor's situation was very complicated. His boss had shifted all the blame onto Victor. If Tom could testify that Victor had saved him, it would prove Victor's innocence. Tyler knew that Riga would never let Tom get involved in this mess again. Riga also found Jenny. If she discovered that Jenny was harboring those children in the villa, she would lose her job. To break this deadlock, Jenny decided to take the initiative. She wanted to prove whether Victor and Riga were father and son, so she sneaked into Riga's room and gently wrapped some hair in paper. Then she went to visit Victor with Milan and forcefully pulled out some of his hair. She then went to the hospital to submit the samples. That night, Tom pushed open Milan's door and shouted that he wanted to sleep with Riga. Milan settled him down and went out to find Riga. She came to the locked room, which was filled with baby items. Milan discovered a photo of Riga and a child on the table. She looked closely and realized it was Victor when he was a child. Her mind was in chaos, but she didn't notice Riga had entered the room. She was so scared that she dropped the photo frame on the ground. Riga angrily kicked her out. At that moment, Milan didn't know how to face him. He shouted angrily and kicked Milan out of the room. Immediately, Riga felt regret. He went to the hall and found Milan to apologize for his earlier overreaction. Then he also revealed the secret he had been hiding in his heart. Ever since he lost his son 16 years ago, he had sealed that room. It was filled with all the dreams he had woven. Milan had never seen Riga so sad, and all of this was his doing. She tried her best to comfort Riga, saying that maybe things weren't as bad as he thought. The child might have been adopted by another family. Tom hadn't seen Riga come back for a while. He ran out and was just seen by Tyler, who had returned, so Tyler sent him back to his room. Tom also revealed the truth about the kidnapping. The man who took him was a man with a small mustache, and Victor was the hero who saved him. Tyler confirmed this with Tom again and again. He hurriedly found Riga and told him that Tom said Victor was the one who saved him. Tyler tried to persuade Riga to testify for Victor in court, but Riga dismissed it, saying he would never provide any evidence for the man who kidnapped his son. Milan had been living with guilt ever since she found Jenny to confide in her. She had accidentally walked into that small room and found a photo of Riga with his long-lost son. The two babies in the photo were identical, but Jenny wasn't shocked at all. She said these were all mistakes her brother had made back then, and now they should find a way to make amends. As they were discussing this, Riga walked over. Milan still tried to convince Riga to tell him that Victor was innocent, and hoped that he could ask Tom to testify for him on the day of the trial. After all, Victor was still so young, and if he went to prison, his whole life would be ruined. Riga was very angry when he heard this. He told Milan that Tom was our son. Tyler also found Ellie and told her that Tom had told him that Victor was the one who had really saved him. Lisa asked if Tom would come forward to testify, but Tyler remained silent. Ellie could see his dilemma, but she still hoped that Tyler would tell him the truth. Tyler slowly opened his mouth and said that he had tried many times to communicate with Riga, but his attitude was very firm. He was convinced that Victor was the one who had helped him. Tyler still comforted Ellie, saying that her brother was his brother and that she didn't need to worry. He had already hired the best lawyer for Victor. Riga, not wanting Milan to interfere with Victor's affairs, took her to a villa in the suburbs. He also wanted to take this opportunity to enjoy some time alone with her. Riga told Milan they would stay there for a few days. They would return once Victor's case was resolved. He then turned off both their phones. Riga focused on cooking for Milan, but Milan's face showed no signs of happiness. Her heart was filled with concern for her child. Soon it was the day of Victor's court appearance. Lisa and Anna decided to do something, so they went to the villa's entrance. Seeing Laura taking Tom to the park, they quietly followed them. Lisa approached Laura and praised her endlessly. Ever since she first saw her photo in a magazine, she had been deeply attracted to her. Anna also found Tom and told him that Victor had been misunderstood by the police and now needed his help. Tom didn't hesitate and followed Anna. Laura realized she had been deceived and rushed out. However, she accidentally fell to the ground. Her first reaction was to notify Riga. Lisa and Tom also arrived at the court in time. However, in the face of Tom's testimony, the judge told her that it was invalid. Minors could only give testimony in the presence of a guardian. Tom saw the people who had kidnapped him again. He looked terrified and stood there frozen, shouting for his mother. He ran out in a panic, and a speeding car rushed toward him. Tom fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Riga glared fiercely at the Ellie sisters. Lisa was also in a panic. She was afraid that Riga would take it out on more people. Milan and Ellie got into Tyler's car, but they didn't exchange a word, only glancing at each other through the rearview mirror. Upon arriving at the hospital, Riga flew into a rage upon seeing Ellie. He ordered her to leave immediately. He didn't want to see Victor's siblings and intended to hold Lisa responsible for this matter. Ellie ran out, and Milan chased after her. But she told Milan, "You shouldn't be concerned about us siblings right now. It's your newlywed husband and his children." Milan explained that things weren't as they seemed. She had tried her best to reason with Riga. "I want Victor to be okay more than anyone else." Ellie said she only believed what she saw. When Riga was threatening Lisa, and Victor was taken away in front of her, she didn't see any concern for them. When all this happened, she chose her new husband over her own child. The DNA test results sent by Jenny came back, and she hurriedly informed Milan. Upon learning she was still at the hospital, he rushed over again. Jenny presented the report, which showed a 95% similarity. Milan felt a headache coming on because he had no idea how to explain this. Victor was sent to prison by Riga, and now Tom is in a coma. She blamed Jenny for making her tell the first lie, and now she could only keep telling more lies to cover it up. But Jenny told her the secret had to stay hidden. If Riga found out Victor was his biological son, then you and your daughters would have to go back to your old life, and you would lose Victor forever. Then Jenny tore up the report right in front of Milan. At that moment, Laura came over, and Jenny panicked and stuffed the paper into her mouth. Laura saw the paper in Jenny's mouth and was curious. She thought Jenny was destroying some evidence. Just then, news about Tom came from outside, causing Laura to stop her pursuit. The doctor told Riga that Tom's surgery went smoothly and he was out of danger. Lisa kept blaming herself for not handling the situation properly and letting it escalate further. At that moment, Tyler called. He told Ellie that Tom was out of danger and not to feel guilty. He explained that his brother had been a bit over the top earlier because he was worried about Tom's safety, but he was actually a soft-hearted person. To ease their minds, the two sisters hurried to the hospital. Lisa kept apologizing to Tom, saying she hadn't meant to do it and hoping he would forgive her. Just then, Riga pushed open the door and saw Ellie and her sister. He was furious and chased them away. Riga even said he would press charges against Lisa. Lisa explained that she had only come to apologize and had no ill intentions, but Riga didn't want to listen and shouted that he would call the police. Ellie could only take her sister and leave in frustration. Milan stepped forward and asked Riga why he was taking it out on them. They had only come to visit Tom out of kindness. Lisa confronted her mother, asking what she had done while that man was yelling at them. Milan explained that Riga was still angry. Victor is now in prison. If he accuses you, what will I do? There are many things I can't explain to you now. Please understand me, Lisa said. We're just children who were abandoned. Now we can only rely on ourselves. Milan's bitterness and helplessness remained ununderstood. Back in the room, Milan heard Riga telling Tom that he would make those who caused him pain pay double the price. That day, Alice found Jenny again. The maid discovered this and quickly notified Laura. Now that Milan was in power, Jenny wasn't afraid of her and kicked her out directly. As she was leaving, Laura found Alice, greedy for money. Alice told Laura everything. Laura then told Riga about Milan having 4 children. Riga wanted to see Milan confess to him voluntarily. Back in the room, Riga asked Milan if she would still marry him if he were an ordinary person. Such a sudden question left Milan at a loss for words. She suppressed her inner anxiety and looked at Riga with a determined expression. Whether you are poor or good or bad, I love you for who you are. Then she embraced Riga, but Riga clenched his fists and pushed Milan away. This made Milan feel uneasy for the first time. Riga had never rejected her like this before. Outside, Riga still couldn't accept this lie. He punched a tree hard to vent his anger. Milan also found Jenny and told her that since Laura had visited Riga last night, he had been acting strangely toward her and had pushed her away and not returned home all night. Now that he had lost the children and Riga had suddenly changed so drastically, he had no idea how to deal with what was coming next. Riga went to the police station and asked the staff to check Milan's records. Looking at the results in his hands, the list of family members plunged him into deep thought. He immediately called a lawyer to the company. At that moment, Milan was also suffering mentally. She didn't want to live a lie, so she called Riga. She rushed to the company and told Riga she couldn't take it anymore. But before she could finish speaking, the intense tension caused her to faint. When Milan woke up, Riga asked her if she was still worried about Victor. Milan admitted it openly, but Riga told her he had just had the lawyer drop the charges against Victor, and he would be released soon. Milan found it hard to believe, but she finally let go of her concerns. However, she still didn't reveal the truth. At the same time, someone had slipped something into Victor's tea at the detention center. Soon after, Victor felt stomach pains and was sent to the hospital. Upon seeing the heartless boss, Victor immediately understood everything. To get rid of Victor, the boss had bribed the medical staff. While Victor was asleep, they attacked him, but Milan arrived just in time to witness it. Riga immediately restrained the heartless boss. Despite Riga's life-saving actions, Victor showed no gratitude. After being released, Riga informed Jenny to prepare dinner. He and Milan would bring Victor home and have her notify the Ellie sisters to join them for dinner. The family should have been reunited in joy. However, Riga spoke up, asking the siblings to explain why their mother had never met her. Lisa said that their mother had already died to them. Milan panicked and smashed the bowl. She hurriedly hid in the kitchen and cried. Riga also brought up all the old grievances. While accusing Victor, he also offered mercy, willing to let the siblings move back in. But the young and headstrong Victor couldn't bear it. He claimed he could find a place to stay. The group left the mansion in a hurry. Victor took his sister and brother to the abandoned old house. Perhaps this was the only place that could accommodate them. All of this was under Riga's surveillance. He had the security guard take photos. Riga deliberately left his phone on the table before leaving. Milan saw her daughters in the photos and couldn't help but cry. Riga secretly watched everything from behind. Back in the room, he asked Milan if she was willing to have another child. Facing Riga's words, Milan didn't know how to respond. She asked Riga to give her some time, then went out the door. Riga's heart was filled with resentment. He didn't understand why Milan wouldn't tell him the truth. So he contacted Laura and told her to pack her bags and move into the villa. Soon, Laura couldn't wait to move in. Riga personally went out to welcome her. Then Riga found Milan and told her to come downstairs later because he had something important to announce. When Milan arrived in the living room, she saw Laura gloating. Then Riga told everyone that Laura was pregnant and needed care. From now on, she would be staying here. This shocked Milan and Jenny. Laura, standing nearby, was secretly delighted. Riga asked Jenny to prepare a large room for her. From now on, Laura's life would be entirely under her responsibility. After Riga left, Laura began to boss Jenny around. Jenny could only confide in Milan, asking him to come back and help her. At that moment, Milan was also looking for a new house for his daughters. Riga was following him from a distance. He found a 3-bedroom apartment, so each child could have their own room. She paid the deposit without hesitation. Just then, Riga walked in, shocking Milan. He called Milan out and asked her why she didn't tell him she was buying a house for her brother and sister. Milan denied it, saying she wanted to move out on her own. Riga didn't understand why Milan would say that. Milan told him that she had thought a lot since last night. It felt like there was an insurmountable wall between them. Maybe they needed to keep their distance and rethink things. Riga said he didn't want Milan to leave him, but deep down, he was testing Milan. He wanted to hear the truth from her mouth so he could still have a reason to love her. But Milan said this might be a mistake, and sometimes love alone isn't enough. She left Riga in tears, reminiscing about the past. Milan also came to the dilapidated house, but Victor and Lisa did not welcome her arrival. They told her not to come and disturb their poor family's life. Milan told them that everything was over. Wait until your sister comes back, and we'll discuss it together. The family sat together again. Milan told them that they were a family and should live together. Victor and Lisa asked her if she was sure she wouldn't leave them again. Milan assured them that he had already found a house and that from now on, they would live together side by side. Ellie asked Milan, "What's wrong with your marriage?" Milan simply said, I just want to take a break for a while. She still firmly believed that as long as the family's hearts were together, all problems would be resolved. Soon, the family moved into their new home and settled down. Tom hadn't seen Milan all day, so he asked Riga about her. Did the two of you fight and break up? Will you never see her again? It turned out that Milan had unknowingly already entered Tom's heart. Riga told him that they loved each other very much and were only temporarily separated. Jenny was also being tormented by Laura, leaving her physically and mentally exhausted. She pretended to feel unwell, so Laura gave her the day off. Jenny demanded to know why they had to live in this dilapidated house and suffer. Milan told her that although it was simple, being able to be with the children was enough for her. Victor stormed over to Riga. He demanded, "Why are you making my mother sad?" Riga curiously asked, "Which one is your mother?" Victor angrily blurted out Milan's name. Riga calmly replied, "I already knew." The tension between the two men was about to erupt. Riga angrily threw Victor out of the company. Victor left reluctantly, but Riga wasn't done with him. Riga sent someone to follow him secretly. He arrived near Milan's house early. Just as Victor was about to reach the front door, Riga ordered his men to take him away in front of Milan. Milan sat on the ground crying. Riga watched everything unfold without emotion. Soon, Victor was taken to an abandoned factory. Upon returning home, Riga confiscated Jenny's phone to prevent her from contacting anyone outside. He also instructed the security guards to confine her to her room. Meanwhile, Milan was discussing with Ellie how to raise such a large sum of money. Ellie then called Tyler. However, Riga hung up on him. This led to another heated argument between the two brothers. Riga told his younger brother that Ellie was actually Milan's daughter. Tyler asked why they were doing this. Riga believed that Milan was doing it for the money. She had taken advantage of his trust and love for her. Tyler told Riga that he could see that Milan truly loved him, but Riga felt that this love was too heavy to bear. He had given her so many chances, but Milan had never told him the truth. Ellie tried calling Tyler again, but he didn't answer. Feeling a headache coming on, Riga went to the abandoned factory. Victor saw Riga arrive and wasn't surprised at all. He had guessed this day would come sooner or later. He then had his men notify Milan. Ellie answered the phone and said she wanted to hear Victor's voice to confirm his safety. Victor tried to reveal the truth but was silenced. Milan had no choice but to turn to Riga for help. She didn't know that all of this was a trap set by Riga for her. Milan hurried back to the villa and told Riga that if she couldn't raise the money by tomorrow, Victor would be in danger. Tyler confronted his brother, asking if he had orchestrated the kidnapping. Riga told Tyler that it was all just a test for Milan and that no one would be harmed. He told Tyler not to interfere with his plan. After coming out, Riga pretended to be unaware and asked Milan why Victor had been kidnapped and why she was responsible. Milan claimed she couldn't bear seeing the children living in such a dilapidated place, so she brought them to her home to stay. Seeing that Milan still refused to tell the truth, Riga interrupted her. However, he still pretended to cooperate with Milan and said he would help her. He then took Milan to an abandoned factory. When Milan saw Victor in front of her, she was at a loss for words. Riga spoke up from behind her. "This is Victor. Your son is right in front of you." Milan could only look at Riga with a terrified expression. Riga stepped forward and told Milan, "When I saw you so upset and heartbroken over your children, I felt very sad too. Now we should have a proper talk. Let's start with the first lie you told." Tyler also found Ellie and asked her why she had hidden everything from him. Ellie said insincerely that she had done everything for her family so they wouldn't go hungry. Tyler believed that this might be fate's arrangement, but we were the ones who failed the test. Then he asked Ellie, "Can we still love each other?" Ellie said with tears in her eyes, "I know. I'm sorry." Tyler said sadly, "Let's end this conversation here." All that remained in the darkness was Ellie sobbing. Milan also remained silent for a long time. Riga told her that they wouldn't leave until she spoke. Milan cried and said that she had married him for the children, but she also truly loved him. However, once the lies started, the truth became harder and harder to say. Riga denied her, believing that Milan's purpose was only for money. "Since you moved out, we haven't seen each other at all. If it weren't for Victor's accident today, you might never have shown up in front of me again." Milan could only choke out an explanation. "No matter how much you hate me, I will always be grateful to you." Riga also said tearfully, "You've never truly loved me." After Milan left, Riga wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, and the anger in her heart erupted. Upon returning home, Riga gathered everyone together, and in front of everyone, she kicked Jenny, who had served in this family for 17 years. out of the house, and then threw all of Milan's clothes out, saying she didn't want to see anything related to Milan anymore. Jenny and her daughter went to Milan's house. Everyone looked surprised. Jenny told them that she had been kicked out by Riga. The next day, Milan was looking for a job but was spotted by Riga from afar. After Milan left, he used money to convince the boss not to hire Milan. Jenny returned to the villa and happened to meet Tom, who had just come home from school. Tom asked her why he hadn't seen Milan for several days. Jenny quietly gave him Milan's address. That day after school, Tom took out the address and asked the security guard to take him to Milan's mother's house. Soon, Tom knocked on Milan's door. Milan was worried that Riga would be worried if he didn't see Tom. He wanted to call him, but Jenny stopped him. At the dinner table, Victor said that his relationship with Tom was strange, and that he felt like he was his own brother. This statement shocked Milan and Jenny. When Riga returned home and didn't see Tom, he called the security guard. Upon learning that Tom was at Milan's house, he hurried over. Victor stepped forward to stop Riga from taking Tom back. Riga grabbed the shorter Victor. At that moment, Tom stood up and shouted at Riga, "Don't hurt me, Victor's brother. Why are you always yelling at him?" For Victor's sake, he slammed his fist on the table. Milan hurriedly told Tom, "You can't talk to your father like that. He's worried about you. Now, be a good boy and go home with your father." Tom told Milan, "You go back first, then I'll go back." Riga told Tom that Milan now had his own new home and she wouldn't be going back with him. Jenny, desperate to return to the villa, ran out and recounted her 17 years of loyalty to the family. But Milan and Victor heard everything. Back in the room, Milan confronted Jenny, demanding, "Why did you lie? I didn't force you." Jenny said she was old now and couldn't find a good job. Returning to the villa was the best choice. Victor also suggested that Milan divorce Riga. Jenny angrily told him not to interfere with Milan's happiness. Victor angrily said that it was because Mom believed her that things had turned out this way. Riga arranged for security to monitor Milan and report back to him every day. That day, Milan passed by the store again and saw that they were still hiring, so she went in to ask why they were hiring when she had been told there were no openings. The boss hurriedly tore down the job posting. When Milan came out, she bumped into the security guard outside and confronted him about why he was following her. Faced with the security guard's incoherent explanations, Milan guessed it must be Riga's doing. She walked straight to the car and told the security guard to take her to Riga. Upon entering the room, Milan told Riga, "Your actions have made me very angry. Now that we've already separated, why are you still having people monitor my life? You can hate me, but don't involve my children." As soon as Milan stepped out of the room, she received a call from Tom's teacher. She reopened the door and told Riga that Tom had gotten into trouble at school. The two rushed over in a panic. The teacher took out Tom's drawing, which depicted the silhouettes of his parents. The teacher then explained that Tom had gotten into a fight with a classmate earlier. During lunch, the classmate had snatched Tom's fruit, leading to an argument. The classmate even went as far as to spill food on Tom. The two then started fighting. The teacher told them, "You should pay more attention to Tom's feelings and spend more time together." Riga picked up the drawing and looked at Milan beside her. On the way home, Tom saw Milan and smiled happily. That night, Milan stayed behind, but Laura was unhappy. Tom asked Milan to sleep with him. When Riga saw this pure moment, he felt both angry and relieved, because he realized that his love for Milan was growing deeper and deeper. When their hands touched again, their hearts were once again stirred. That day, Riga noticed something unusual about Milan, so the two sat down face to face. Riga sincerely asked Milan to take the children back to the villa to live, but Jenny spoke up first. Riga could see the helplessness in Milan's eyes. He told her to talk to the children properly. After Riga left, Jenny jumped up excitedly, thinking she would soon be able to return to manage the villa. Laura, not wanting to move out, sought help from Tyler's mother. However, she stated that she was just a stepmother and had no say in Riga's affairs. All she could do now was prevent Ellie from marrying into the family. The two women were truly in the same boat. These words were overheard by Tyler as he came upstairs. He angrily asked his mother if everything before had just been a show. His mother replied that the girl wasn't suitable for him. Tyler also solemnly told his mother that he would marry Ellie regardless of her consent. That evening, Milan gathered her children. She hesitantly shared Riga's idea, hoping they could all live together in the villa. Victor refused to return, and the siblings argued again. Milan told them, "We are a family. No matter what, I will respect everyone's decision. As long as one person disagrees, I will not go back." Ellie was the first to speak. She said that for her mother's happiness, she agreed to return to the villa. Lisa also agreed to go back but refused to live with her aunt. Victor remained firm in his decision. He sat outside looking dejected, and Milan followed him out. However, the misunderstanding between Victor and Riga remained unresolved. He told Milan, "If you want to go, I can't stop you, and I can't stop my sisters either." Watching Victor leave, Milan could only cry alone. She didn't know how to tell him that Victor and Riga were father and son. Early the next morning, Riga began fantasizing about his love with Milan, the unity of the children, and the harmonious family. He hurriedly called Milan to ask if she was ready to move today. Milan said she would come over to talk in person. Riga couldn't wait to know when Milan would move back. But Milan told Riga that Victor still didn't agree to her returning. Riga said he had guessed that he had been too harsh on her before. Now that they were suddenly going to live together, she would definitely reject him. He then told Milan that if necessary, he was willing to apologize to her. He was willing to stand by her through thick and thin. So they found Victor. Victor immediately brought up the matter of Pete's hotel. Because Milan was absent, Pete had no choice but to cancel today's banquet. Milan felt torn. At this moment, Riga was also acting out of character. He agreed with Victor's opinion, but it was only for work, so as not to embarrass Victor's boss in public. Tyler also took Ellie back to her mother's house, in order not to escalate the conflict with Tyler. Although she didn't like Ellie, she agreed to the marriage in front of her. Ellie felt that happiness had come too suddenly. Victor still found Riga. He didn't understand why he had suddenly changed his mind. Riga told him that seeing Riga reminded him of his younger days. Everything he had done was to protect his mother, but he was just protecting his wife and his family. Riga sincerely invited Victor to abandon his past and join his family. Milan finished her work in the kitchen and was about to leave. Pete grabbed her arm and said, "Don't you recognize me?" This left Milan feeling very surprised. Pete then revealed that he was Milan's ex-husband's friend. He also recounted past events one by one. This made Milan feel even more panicked. How much does this man really know about me? The intense tension caused Milan to faint. When Milan woke up, Riga asked her what had happened. Milan didn't tell the truth, only saying it was caused by low blood sugar. At that moment, she was more concerned about Victor and went to find him. She hoped he would return to the villa with her and not work here anymore. Victor didn't understand. "It was you who asked me to come here to work, and now you don't want me to stay?" He thought it was all Riga's idea. Seeing Milan's disappointment, Riga comforted her. "With time, we'll get Victor to understand." On the way back, Milan was lost in thought. How much did Pete know about Victor? To ease Milan's concerns, Riga told her, "Your child is also my child." He then notified Jenny to bring the sisters over for dinner that evening. When everyone arrived at the villa, Riga told them to take a look around the house before dinner. "Once you all move in, everyone will have their own room." Riga led them to the indoor swimming pool. Lisa and Anna both loved it, saying it wasn't just a house but more like a palace. As everyone enjoyed the dinner, Riga spoke up, saying, "Although Victor is absent today, I hope we can become a family soon." Taking advantage of such a happy moment, Tyler announced to everyone that he would soon marry Ellie. He had already obtained his mother's consent and now needed Milan's approval. Milan happily said, "Of course I approve of your marriage." Riga joked with Milan, "Tyler fell for our eldest daughter so quickly." After dinner, he told Tyler and Ellie that he hoped they would live with them after their marriage. That would truly be a big family. Ellie said her wish was also to live with her family. Pete tentatively asked Victor how much he knew about his father. He must have 2 sisters and be very happy, right? Victor told him he only had 1 sister, and he and Lisa were fraternal twins. This seemed to remind Pete of something, but he hesitated to speak. Milan found Jenny and told her about what happened with Pete today. Milan now felt that Pete was a very mysterious person. He even knew about the red scarf she had worn 16 years ago. It was as if he knew everything and seemed to know Victor. However, their whispered conversation was overheard by Laura. In a panic, she accidentally knocked over the tableware by the door. Jenny rushed out and pulled Laura away, accidentally touching her stomach. Laura ran away as fast as she could. Jenny remembered the rope she had seen that day and suddenly understood everything. Jenny grabbed a fruit knife and rushed out, stabbing her in the stomach. White feathers fell to the ground, and all the lies were exposed. Riga angrily kicked her out again. To get revenge on Milan, Laura found Pete. She told him that Milan was afraid that Riga would find out about Victor's secret. Pete then found Milan and asked her, "Victor isn't your biological child, is he?" Milan was furious and asked him why he would think such a thing. Pete said it was Victor who told him that he and Lisa were twins. He remembered that when he was born, there was only Lisa. Milan exclaimed excitedly that they were twins. Laura heard everything clearly. She thought Victor was Milan and Pete's child. In her panic, she knocked over the cup again. Pete also told her the truth. A woman named Laura had found him today. Feeling helpless, Milan could only say she had to go back first. Pete watched her leave, not knowing what Milan was afraid of. Was it because Victor wasn't her biological son? Or was she afraid of finding out who the child's biological father was? Milan returned home and told Jenny that Pete already knew about Victor. Jenny couldn't understand how he found out. Milan said Laura had already come to see him. Jenny analyzed the situation with her, saying that from what they knew so far, Pete was definitely still on their side. The most important thing now was to stop Laura from causing more trouble. Jenny was worried that the story would get even more exaggerated, so she decided to go to the company to find Riga first. She asked Milan to call and confirm first. Just then, there was a knock on the door. When she opened it, she saw Riga standing there. Milan was so scared that she dropped her phone on the floor. Riga asked her why she was so nervous. Once in the room, Jenny could only use Laura to probe Riga. Milan also asked tremblingly, "What do you think of her?" Riga told them that Laura had just rushed to the company and ran to the front of the car, saying she had something important to tell him. The security guards took her away, and she was shouting behind them, but he couldn't hear her. Upon hearing this, Jenny and Milan finally breathed a sigh of relief. Riga then asked Milan to explain what had made him so nervous. Just as Milan was at a loss for words, Jenny said it was because of Victor. Riga began to console Milan, saying that when he was unhappy, she felt sad too. "We should leave unsolvable problems to time, because life will find its own way to resolve them." That night, Ellie also tried to persuade Victor that only a family together can be strong. "As long as our hearts are together, no one can stop us from moving forward, because we can draw strength from our family. My brothers and sisters are like a mountain behind me. When we are together, you are everything to me. If we are separated, I feel like I've lost everything." Milan and Anna had already listened to tears. Ellie told Victor that we cannot be separated. "If you're not by my side, I'm like a bird without wings." She hoped Victor would go to the villa with her. Victor believed that no matter where he was, his heart was always with them. "We just don't live under the same roof. Please don't worry about me. I have a place to stay." Victor said Pete had given him a room at the hotel. Upon hearing this, Milan was furious and refused to let Victor stay there. Victor didn't know that Pete had done all this just to get closer to Milan, so Victor confronted Milan again, asking why she was so sensitive about Pete. Was there something she was hiding from them? Milan said she just didn't want to be separated from her son. Victor felt that Milan didn't respect his decision. Tom also asked Riga why the room by the elevator was always locked. He had wanted to go inside several times. Was there something important in there? Riga said hoarsely that it was just some old stuff. Tom said that it would be better to leave the room for Victor's brother, but those words triggered Riga's nostalgia. After sending Tom off, he went to that room. Looking at the furnishings inside, memories flooded back, and he cried silently. Soon, Riga fell asleep. The son who had been missing for 16 years had found him. They looked at photos from when they were young together. Tyler tried to talk to Riga. No matter how much he shouted outside the door, there was no response. Jenny panicked and called Milan, telling him that Riga had suddenly shut himself in. Milan rushed over and said to Riga at the door, "I know you're going through a tough time, but we're married. Whatever the problem is, I hope we can face it together." Riga cried and asked Milan to leave, saying he just wanted to be alone for a while. Milan told him, "As long as you don't come out, I'll wait here at the door." Riga looked at the photo on the table and it suddenly turned into Victor's photo, scaring him so much that he threw it on the ground. This instantly panicked Milan outside the door, thinking that Riga had discovered something. At that moment, Tyler asked why his brother was calling Victor's name. Milan could only shake his head and say he didn't know. Jenny said that he might have been too upset from not sleeping all night. Tyler became even more worried. He forcefully pushed open the door. He saw Riga sitting alone on the ground, muttering to himself. In his dream, he had seen his long-lost son, Victor. Tyler said that it might just be his excessive longing. Riga suddenly stood up and said, "Move everything out of here and make this room for Victor." Laura also used Tyler's mother's connections to try to enter the villa to find Riga, but all of this was noticed by the sharp-eyed Jenny. She once again forced Laura back into the car. Riga, with tears in his eyes, personally packed up his son's belongings one by one, though his heart was filled with reluctance as he packed. He told Milan, "You gave me a new life. You're like the sun, illuminating my soul." Then he told Milan, "We will have a happy family." At that moment, Milan received a call from the hospital. Jenny and Laura were in the same car and had been in an accident. They rushed to the hospital. When they saw Laura, her hands were gesturing frantically. Riga asked her what she wanted to say, but Jenny, who was beside her, spoke up. "She can't speak anymore." Tyler's mother asked her, "How did you end up in the same car with Laura?" Jenny explained that she had just seen Laura sneaking into the villa. She went up to tell her that she wasn't allowed to enter. Laura, who couldn't speak, could only lie in bed and let Jenny twist the facts. After everyone left, Laura signaled to Tyler's mother to bring her a pen and paper. Riga had just walked in when a heavy pillow was thrown at his face. He didn't get angry, just smiled slightly. He sat between the two of them like a father and asked them what they were arguing about. But Lisa and Victor only argued more fiercely. Riga could tell what they were arguing about. He told them to sit down and calm down. He told Lisa that she worked hard every day and that socializing after work was her right. Victor angrily said that she had never had a proper job. Riga held his hand and said, "Can you give me a minute?" He then turned to Lisa and said, "Victor's original intention was for your own good." Riga then turned to Victor, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "It's good that you're worried about your family, but you can express it in another way. Not everything is decided by the volume of your voice." He then asked the brother and sister to apologize to each other, but neither of them was willing to be the first to bow their heads. Riga told Victor, "You're a man. You should act like one." Soon, the matter was resolved. Milan found Pete and told him that Laura had overheard their conversation at the tea house last time. She mistakenly thought that Victor was their child and even told Riga's stepmother about it. "Today, she called me over to talk about it, and now she's feeling very anxious." Jenny also ended up in the hospital because of this. "The reason I came to you this time is to ask you to help clarify the situation in person." Pete asked Milan, "Does your husband not trust you?" Milan thought that since Pete wasn't willing to help, she felt that coming here was a mistake. As she was about to leave, Pete stopped her and said something he had kept hidden in his heart for decades. He told Milan that he had fallen in love with her before he got married. "Because you were close friends with his late husband, he never spoke up, even after all these years. He never forgot you for a single moment." Milan was speechless upon hearing this. When she returned home, she found Riga waiting for her. Anna was lying quietly in his arms. He then talked to Milan about Victor and Lisa. Riga said he was willing to become their real father. After today's events, he felt that the family's reunion was not far off. The next morning, Milan received a call from Jenny. She told her that Laura could speak again. "We have to stop her from going to Riga and saying anything." Milan rushed over. She angrily found Laura. Laura thought she could threaten Milan, but Milan shouted at her, saying she had had enough of her. At that moment, Pete walked over. He told Laura that Victor wasn't his child. "I'm standing right here in front of you. What else do you want to know? If you two keep slandering me and Milan, I'll have no choice but to sue you." Meanwhile, Riga found Victor and brought him to the room that had been redecorated. But Victor wasn't grateful at all. Riga told him, "This isn't just any room. This is the room where I lost my son. If he were still alive, he'd be around your age." Tears welled up in Victor's eyes. Riga told Victor that we could have been a family. Why did we choose to separate? Riga then found Milan and told her he had a surprise for her. When she returned to the villa, she saw Victor standing there. Milan asked him in surprise, "Why are you here?" Riga said, "This is his home." This made Milan even more confused. Riga said he had found his son. Milan also thought that Riga and Victor had reunited, and she was so nervous that she almost fainted again. Riga said, "We've reconciled. Aren't you happy?" This finally put Milan's mind at ease. Lisa and Anna were also brought over. Riga took them to see their respective rooms one by one. He then informed Tyler that Victor had agreed to live with us. Laura looked at the scars all over her face and blamed it all on Milan. To take revenge on Milan, she took advantage of the night and went to Milan's house, just in time to see a few people coming back to get their clothes. She poured gasoline all over the house and then ran into the room, just in time for Milan to see her. The two of them started fighting. Laura quickly knocked Milan to the ground. She then found Jenny and said to her in a calm voice, "You're next." Jenny screamed loudly. Laura told her, "Your partner has already been taken care of." While she was speaking, Jenny quietly grabbed the mop and struck Laura's weapon out of her hand. In the end, Laura was more skilled and pinned Jenny to the ground. Jenny tried to escape, but Laura grabbed her leg. Riga grew concerned when Milan didn't return. Just then, his phone rang. It was Laura. She cried, "You rejected my only son but accepted a woman with 4 children." Riga didn't want to listen to her nonsense and shouted, "What did you do to Milan?" Laura poured oil all over Milan in front of Riga, but the lighter wouldn't work, so she turned the gas in the kitchen to the maximum. Just as Laura left, Pete arrived. He noticed the strong smell of gasoline at the door and broke it open. The police in Riga also arrived at the same time. Fortunately, everyone was rescued in time and there were no serious injuries. To ensure the safety of his family, Riga dispatched more men. But Laura didn't stop and kidnapped Ellie. Riga said to Laura, The person you're looking for is me, because I'm the one who caused you such an unhappy past. When Laura saw Riga and Milan hugging each other, she lost her mind. With a gunshot, Milan fell to the ground. 3 strong men immediately restrained Laura. Pete found Victor and told him that he was his father's friend. At that moment, Lisa called and told him that his mother had been shot and that she was on her way to the hospital. The doctor said that during the operation, Milan's heart had stopped for a while due to lack of oxygen to the brain, and she was still in a coma. Pete couldn't find Victor, so he asked Matt. Matt told him that Victor had rushed to the hospital because Milan had been shot. Upon hearing this, Pete lost control of his emotions. He asked Matt which hospital it was and rushed over. At that moment, the doctor came out again and told everyone that her condition had stabilized. If someone could say some encouraging words in her ear, it would help her recover faster. But only one person could enter. Everyone suggested that Riga go in. He spoke to Milan with deep emotion. We still have to travel the world together. Our family hasn't had a proper reunion yet. The children are all waiting outside the window for you to wake up. Although Milan couldn't speak, tears kept streaming down her eyes. Riga wiped the tears from Milan's eyes and called out her name over and over again. At home, Anna kept calling out for her mother. The security guard, who couldn't do anything, had no choice but to ask Jenny for help. Jenny said to him, "Can't you even comfort a little child?" Ellie said she would talk to Anna. She told Anna that we all had things to do. Lisa was already on her way back and would be with you soon. Late at night, Milan suddenly woke up. She went outside and saw her brother and sister huddled together. Tears flowed uncontrollably down her face. She recounted everyone's stories from childhood. Then she went to Riga's side. "Thank you for always loving and trusting me." Everything felt like a farewell to her family. The alarm from the monitor woke Anna. She banged on the window frantically and rushed into the room. She clung to Milan and cried out, "Mom, don't go." At that moment, Riga outside also woke up. When he entered, he saw the waves on the monitor turn into a straight line. He ran into the hallway and shouted, "Doctor!" The family could only stand outside the window. Ellie comforted her younger siblings. "We can't cry, or Mom will be sad." Anna stood outside the window, murmuring, "Doctor, please save my mom. I really love her so much." Then she began to pray to the heavens. "Please don't take her away. Let her stay by my side." But no matter how hard the doctors tried to save her, the machine continued to beep incessantly. The straight line on the monitor remained unchanged. Riga wept uncontrollably, clutching the bedding tightly. He told himself to be strong. The children were still outside. He gently lifted Milan's hand and said, "I want to hold you like this forever." Finally, Riga couldn't hold back any longer. He shouted with all his strength, "Please don't leave us." Milan seemed to hear Riga's call. The straight line on the machine began to turn into waves. The doctor said Milan's heartbeat had returned and she needed a full examination. Victor was sobbing uncontrollably at the window. He clearly remembered when he was a child. The neighbor's kids had mocked him for not having a bicycle. Milan had sold her wedding ring to buy Victor a new bike. Her love for him had never been selfish. "If there is a next life, I wish to be your son again." At that moment, Pete arrived with his daughter Mary. Mary had endless things to talk about with Victor. Pete noticed his daughter's feelings and pretended to say he needed to handle some work first. Mary looked at Victor with love in her eyes. She took his hand voluntarily. She told him, "If you're feeling down and want someone to talk to, please tell me. I'll always be here for you." She then kissed him. Victor, who was just beginning to experience love, felt a touch of shyness. Pete also came to Milan's hospital room. He told her that he finally understood how difficult the past years had been for her. It turned out that Victor was Riga's son. All these years, she had treated him as her own son. No wonder she was so concerned about what others said about Victor not being her biological son. Riga heard Victor and Mary talking as he was going up the stairs. This reminded Riga of what Laura had told him that day. Milan had known Pete before and they had been lovers. At that moment, he still felt a little unhappy. Just as he arrived at the door, he bumped into Pete coming out. The two started fighting. Hearing the commotion, Victor rushed over. When he got home, Victor saw Lisa getting out of a luxury car. The two started arguing again. She threw herself at her brother. Riga was heartbroken and asked after his brother and sister. Hearing the noise, Anna and Tom also rushed over. Seeing the wounds on their faces, they were both shocked and speechless. Riga told them not to come over and to be careful of the broken glass on the ground. Victor and Lisa said not to worry, that they were fine. Jenny couldn't help but add a few words. "Your mother is dying in the hospital, and you still have the heart to fight here?" Riga glared at her, and Jenny realized she had said the wrong thing. That day, Jenny also went to the hospital to visit Milan and talk to her about her recent anxieties. She hoped Milan would get better soon. Now she didn't even have anyone to confide in. At that moment, Milan opened her eyes. Jenny hurriedly called for the doctor. When the doctor arrived, she noticed something was wrong. Before she could shout, she was knocked unconscious. Another man injected an unknown drug into Milan's hand. Then the two of them pushed Milan out. At the same time, Riga rushed over and saw Jenny lying on the ground through the window. When he came in, he found that Milan was also gone. His angry shouts could be heard throughout the entire hallway. At that moment, Jenny woke up and said that Milan had been kidnapped. When they arrived at the surveillance room, Jenny recognized them at a glance. The police identified the license plate and quickly located the vehicle. However, when they arrived, the car was empty. Since the vehicle was rented temporarily, they couldn't trace the person behind it. When Riga returned home, his siblings were all worried about Milan's safety. Jenny said that their mother had been sent to a top-notch hospital abroad for treatment. Riga wanted to tell the truth, but stopped himself. He could only comfort his siblings, saying, "We'll be reunited soon." Back in the room, Riga still blamed Jenny for making him tell the lie. Jenny said she did it to prevent the siblings from causing trouble. Riga went to the beach and recalled the events of the past few days. Why did Pete appear just in time when Laura was harming Milan? Putting the pieces together, he guessed that Pete must be the mastermind behind everything. He hurriedly returned to the hotel. Pete swore that he had no idea what was going on. Riga left in anger, but he didn't go far. He stayed nearby, watching Pete. Pete noticed Riga and brought him back home. Pete told him that instead of following him, he should spend more time looking for Milan. Riga sat on the ground, crying helplessly. Milan also woke up and kept calling out for Riga and the children. She struggled to get out of bed, but just as she opened the door, it was pushed open. Pete walked in and said indifferently, "You're finally awake. No one can disturb us now." Milan told him she was a married woman and he couldn't force her. She angrily pushed over the things on the table. Pete still wouldn't give up and said, "You'll soon be the mistress of this house, and you'll marry Riga and become my partner." She walked away, saying she wanted to leave. Pete watched Milan walk toward him and grabbed her, holding her tightly in his arms. At that moment, Mary returned home with Victor. She called out repeatedly but received no response. When she saw Pete's jacket, Mary thought something had happened to him. They searched the entire room but found no trace of Pete. Victor asked her if there was a study or basement. Mary remembered the room that was being renovated, so she took Victor to the door, but it was locked. Just as the two of them entered, Pete came out of the dark room. Just as they were about to leave, Milan knocked over the plate on the table. The sound of it falling caught the attention of the two. Mary wanted to go and check, but a man pushed the door open. Pete took the opportunity to say that the room was being renovated and the designer had come to check on it. This finally put Mary's mind at ease. Tyler noticed Riga sitting on the floor. He rushed over and asked if he had fallen. No matter how much Tyler asked, Riga didn't say a word. When he asked if something had happened to Milan, Riga finally reacted. He blamed himself, saying it was all his fault for not using Milan to kidnap him. Their conversation was overheard by Tyler's mother. As soon as the two returned to the living room, Lisa angrily asked Riga, "Why did you hide from us that someone had kidnapped you?" Riga didn't know how to respond, so Tyler told her to calm down first. Riga then looked at Jenny beside him. Jenny said it was Tyler's mother who told her. Tyler said helplessly, "Mom, why did you do that?" Ellie asked him, "So you knew all along?" Tyler didn't know how to respond, so Riga stepped forward. Jenny spoke up and said it was her lie and had nothing to do with anyone else. "But all of this was for your brother and sister's peace of mind. We couldn't panic first." Ellie worriedly asked, "Can Mom handle this?" Jenny told her that Milan had already woken up. "When I called the doctor, she was just being kidnapped." Back in the room, Riga still felt very guilty. Jenny also came over. Riga angrily told her, "I just started building a relationship with the children. If Victor finds out, the situation will be even worse." Jenny said, "Don't worry, I'll talk to Victor." That night, Lisa waited at the door for Victor and told him that his mother hadn't sent her abroad but had her kidnapped. He stormed over to Riga and asked him, "Where is my mother now? We are her children. We have the right to know everything." Jenny also came over and said that she had lied, but Victor believed that Riga was also an accomplice. He angrily told Riga that from now on, he would never trust him again. That day, Milan took advantage of the fact that no one was around and used all her strength to finally push open the secret door. When she came outside, she happened to see Victor, but Milan had also used up all her strength and fell to the ground. Soon, Milan was taken back inside. Then Pete injected her with a sedative again. Victor and Riga made no progress all day. Just as they were getting a headache, they heard Anna's screams from upstairs. Riga came to the room. Victor wanted to go forward, but Jenny stopped him and signaled him not to make a sound. Anna cried and told Riga that she had dreamed that her mother was asking for help, but when she tried to go forward, her mother disappeared. Riga's eyes were filled with sorrow and pity. He told Anna that it was just a nightmare. If she saw you crying like this, she would be very sad. Anna felt the fatherly love Riga was giving her. She whispered, "You're just Tom's dad." Riga paused for a moment, but he quickly said, "Your mom is also Tom's mom." He gently comforted Anna until she fell asleep. Victor, standing at the door, had already been crying for a while. He rushed out, and Jenny told him, "You saw with your own eyes how he calmed Anna down." Victor said, "All I can think about is my mother's safety. I don't know what kind of suffering she's going through, and I can't do anything to help her." Riga came over to comfort him. "We will definitely find Milan. You are also a man of our family." Through various connections, Riga finally found the man who had taken Milan away that day. The two began a chase, but in the end, the man managed to escape. At that moment, the phone that had fallen to the ground rang. When he heard the voice on the other end, he realized that his previous guess had been correct. Pete also realized his identity had been exposed and decided to leave temporarily. However, the doctor told him Milan's condition was too critical for him to fly, due to the risk of cerebral hemorrhage caused by pressure differences. He angrily demanded they arrange a boat instead. He then went to the dark room and told Milan they had to leave immediately. Milan begged him to spare her. Pete grabbed her hand and said, "I can't do it. You can't imagine how much I love you." At that moment, Riga also arrived at Pete's house. He shouted, "Pete!" Milan heard Riga's voice and finally smiled. Pete threatened her, "If you dare let him know you're here, you won't leave this house today." He then had the doctor knock Milan unconscious. Pete casually stepped forward and told Riga not to make a scene in his house. "Milan isn't here." Riga replied, "Your lies are over. I heard your voice on the phone." This scene was witnessed by Matt. Back at the hotel, he panicked and told Victor everything, so he rushed back and found Riga. Riga told him that Pete was involved in Milan's kidnapping. "I'll find the evidence and show you his true colors." Victor thought Riga was just talking nonsense and wasting time. Jenny stopped him and said, "Your mother was kidnapped from the hospital." Victor didn't want to listen, but Jenny wouldn't let go. "Is venting your anger on Riga going to help?" she asked, then pushed him away. Milan was also worried about Riga's safety. Pete told her, "The one who fired the gun was me. I'm the real victim." Milan grabbed Pete's arm and begged him not to hurt himself, saying she would agree to anything. This made Pete even angrier. "Now that you're like this, the one you're still thinking about is him?" he asked. Milan cried, "I just don't want anyone to get hurt." The two eventually reached an agreement. Milan would be allowed to see his children before leaving. That night, the security guard came in to report that a large number of police officers were outside. After coming out, the police told Riga that Milan had been found. They were now coming to notify them to go together to confirm. Soon, everyone arrived at the abandoned warehouse. Pete had become the kind-hearted citizen. The unsuspecting siblings continued to thank this man with a hypocritical appearance. The long-awaited reunion brought them together in a tight embrace as they cried. As Riga held Milan tightly, Pete watched her from afar with a fierce gaze. Back home, Riga asked Milan if he remembered how many people there were. Milan lied, saying he couldn't remember. Riga firmly believed that Pete was the mastermind behind it all. Yet here he was, standing before us like a hero. At breakfast, Anna asked Milan if it was beautiful abroad. Riga hurriedly said, "If you like it, we can take the whole family on a trip abroad." Milan panicked and said he didn't want to go anywhere. She returned to her room alone, unsure how to tell Riga that she was leaving. Jenny was worried and came to find her. Under her persistent questioning, Milan revealed that it wasn't the mafia who had kidnapped her, but Pete. That night, Victor brought Pete to the house. Taking advantage of the absence of others, he found Milan and told her to make a decision quickly. He hadn't agreed to give her unlimited time, and Raga happened to see this. Angry, she kicked him out. Victor asked Raga, "Is this still my home? Why did you kick my guest out?" Raga told him that this man was threatening his mother and had made her feel afraid. Victor said that the person his mother was truly afraid of was him. He said he wouldn't stay in this house anymore. Riga said, "If you want to stay with that man, the door is always open for you." Despite Milan's desperate pleas, Victor insisted on leaving. Jenny also found Pete and asked him what he wanted from Milan. She told Pete, "As long as I'm still alive, you can't hurt her." Pete said, Milan isn't happy at all right now. I'm the one who can give her true happiness. Jenny didn't understand why Pete was so obsessed with a married woman. Pete told Jenny to shut up and asked her to leave. As she was leaving, Jenny said she had seen his daughter and that she was a pretty young woman. She wondered what would happen to her if she knew what kind of man her father was. He warned Jenny not to involve his daughter in this. Jenny said that if he continued to pursue Milan, she would tell her everything. Milan told Ellie to go home with him. He asked her what Tyler would do now that she was in this state. Ellie said they had already broken up last night and now she just wanted to live her own life and wouldn't go anywhere. Seeing her daughter suddenly feel so unfamiliar, Milan could only leave helplessly. She then called Tyler. When she returned home, Tyler told her that everything had changed while she was away, because Lisa had fallen for a man, and this man was the classmate who had bullied Ellie back then. Ellie knew they had been dating recently and was furious. The two sisters often argued about this. Milan finally understood Ellie's feelings. She had only been trying to protect her younger sister. Just then, Lisa, who had been on a date, returned home. As soon as she entered the house, Milan slapped her across the face. Lisa didn't understand what she had done wrong. Milan dragged her into the room and demanded, "Why did you do this? Don't you know that man almost killed your sister?" Lisa tried to explain that they just looked similar and that her sister was just jealous of her. Jenny, who was outside, had never seen Milan so angry before. Milan locked Lisa in the room and told Jenny to keep an eye on her and not let her escape. She then found Victor and asked him to come home with her, but Victor refused to go back. Milan didn't know how to tell him the truth, so she had to leave empty-handed. As she was leaving, Pete called out to her. He told Milan not to worry about Victor. He would take care of him. Milan said she would take him away because he hadn't seen her ugly side yet. Pete asked if she was backing out and warned her to leave Riga immediately. Otherwise, her secret would be revealed in another way. He then found the best friend of Milan's ex-husband. That night, the man found Riga and told him that his son who had gone missing years ago was still alive. Lisa ran out of the room and went to her sister. She angrily argued with her sister. In the face of love, she didn't think about their sisterly bond. A classmate came over to break up the fight, but in the commotion, Lisa accidentally hurt him. Milan arrived and blamed Lisa. Ellie came over and told Milan not to blame her sister. She told Lisa to remember what she said earlier. She wasn't there when it happened, so it had nothing to do with her. When the police arrived, Ellie took full responsibility. When Riga arrived, he was concerned about the two sisters. Milan told him that Lisa had asked Jenny to take her home. Ellie returned to the police station with the police. She then told Tyler that Ellie was deeply concerned about her siblings. Everything she had done was to protect Lisa. Tyler didn't understand why. If it was to protect family, she didn't tell him. If she had told me, I would have stood by her without hesitation. Milan hopes Tyler can understand Ellie. Later, Tyler found Ellie and told her he was willing to protect Lisa together with her. Lisa heard that the person she liked had been discharged from the hospital and wanted to fly straight to him, but Milan stopped her. The sound of their argument attracted Riga. After asking about the situation, he told Lisa, "My daughter, please listen to me. Don't have anything to do with that man anymore." Lisa retorted, "Who are you to tell me what to do? You're not my father." Milan immediately stopped her and told her that the man in front of her was her father. Lisa kept saying, "He means nothing to me. Don't think that just because you brought us home, you can interfere in my life." Milan slapped his daughter across the face. Lisa asked, "How many times do you have to hit me before you're satisfied?" Milan told her, "You can't forget your roots." Riga said, "I didn't just give you a place to live. I opened my heart to you. I don't want to hear you talk about ingratitude." Seeing Milan so upset, Riga tried to calm her down, saying he understood Lisa's feelings. Just then, he received a call from the man from that night. He told Riga to go to the bridge in the suburbs, and he would come with evidence. When the man arrived, he handed Riga a bag of hair. Riga didn't believe him and told him he could do a DNA test himself. All of this was Pete's scheme, and the hair was cut by Victor at his request. Riga went to the hospital with a nervous heart. After returning home, he gave the hair to Milan and told her what happened last night. Now it's already being tested. And Milan was so scared she almost fainted. She then found Pete and confronted him, asking why he revealed Victor's secret. Pete said, "I've given you enough time. If you don't make a decision, the truth will be revealed step by step." Milan could only call her siblings together. Just as she was about to announce her decision, Riga rushed in. Riga also spoke up. "We can't just fall apart like this. Although we're angry with each other, we have to stay together." Then he told Milan that he hadn't told Tom yet and didn't know how to bring it up. Just as Milan was about to tidy up, Pete sent a message from outside the window. Milan then sent everyone away. and the two of them went to an alley. Milan asked him why he did this. I already agreed to you. Now you're deceiving me. You gave Victor's hair to Riga, didn't you? Pete denied it and told Milan that he would find a way to switch the DNA results, but you have to fulfill your promise as soon as possible. Milan still took her siblings back to the villa. That night, she found Victor again and asked him to stay. Victor said, "Whenever you need me, I will always be there for you." Milan said that was a different matter. At that moment, the sound of an argument outside interrupted them. When Victor came out and saw the familiar face, he said in shock, "What's going on? Isn't he already dead?" Ellie said he didn't have S anymore and had just changed his name. Lisa said the two just looked similar, and the one earlier was Carl. Victor exclaimed, "I've known that man for decades. Could I have mistaken him? Why are you provoking him?" He told Lisa not to meet him again. Lisa said it was impossible. She had finally found the man she loved. Victor said, "From now on, I won't go anywhere. You won't step out of this place." So he found Matt and told him the whole story. The two decided to investigate further and went to Carl's house. When the door opened, both of them were stunned. He was pretending not to recognize Victor and Matt. Victor told him to leave Lisa alone, saying that his sisters had already argued enough for him. Matt said that he knew them well, and Carl could only threaten to call the police. Victor said that from now on, he would never see his sisters again, then pulled Matt away. That day, the man found Riga again and impatiently asked him about his son. The man told him that his son was fine and had been adopted by a family who treated him like their own. Riga asked when he could see his son. The man then gave him a bank account number. If he transferred the agreed upon amount, he would take him to see his son. For his son, Riga agreed and hurried back home. He told Milan that he had talked to that person and would see his son soon. Jenny, who was standing nearby, screamed in fear. The two of them then went to the kitchen. The thing they had been afraid of was finally about to happen. Pete also found Victor. He told him that there was an important meeting in the afternoon that he had to attend. His assistant would tell him the details on the way. He then notified the man that it was time to act. Riga hurriedly took Milan to the bridge. The man, in order to scam money, had randomly found a boy to impersonate Riga's long-lost son. When he saw the boy, Riga lost his composure. He grabbed the boy and hugged him tightly. Behind him, Milan immediately realized it was a scam, but she didn't know how to speak up. At that moment, the boy said to Riga, "I've never seen you before. You suddenly stand in front of me and say we're father and son. Don't you think that's a bit ridiculous?" Riga walked over to the side, feeling dejected and sad. The man walked over and said, "You need to give him some time." Riga remained in this dream, constantly blaming himself. At that moment, Milan wanted so badly to shout out that this man was not his son, but she didn't have the courage. Riga told the boy to go home with him. When they returned to the villa, Riga excitedly told everyone that he had finally found his son. Jenny was stunned by the scene before her. When the two of them entered the kitchen, Jenny finally asked the question that had been on her mind. She asked Milan where he had found this wild child. Milan told her that Pete had found him as a stand-in, and Riga had brought him home as his son. Jenny said that they needed to keep a close eye on this boy. He was likely only after Riga's money. That night, the boy was rummaging through the drawers when Victor returned and caught him. He told the boy that if he liked it, he could have it. But the boy looked down on him and said he didn't want secondhand stuff. "After all, I'm his biological son, and you're just a stepson." He then threw the clothes away. The two started arguing fiercely. Soon, the noise attracted Riga and Milan. Victor said he would pack his things and leave the room for him. Riga said, "This room has always been yours." Victor said, "I don't want it." Riga told the boy to stay with Tom. Tom disagreed, saying he only wanted to stay with Victor and didn't want to stay with a stranger. At that moment, the man said, "It seems like no one in this house likes me. I'll just leave then." Riga found Milan and told her that when she hugged him, she felt a strange sense of unfamiliarity. At that moment, Milan received another call from Pete. He told her that he had done everything he promised, and she should fulfill her promise too. The next day, Milan went to the restaurant where Pete had arranged to meet her. He asked her when she planned to leave Riga. Milan told him firmly that they would never separate. She also told Pete that she could never live with someone she didn't love. She had thought it through and wouldn't be threatened by him anymore. He could reveal the truth anytime he wanted. At the same time, he should make it clear that she would never allow Riga to be harmed again. But when she returned home, she saw Victor arguing with the boy again. This time, Riga was truly angry and scolded Victor. Victor said, "It's normal for you to defend your son, but you're being too blind. One day, You'll see this man's true colors. Milan watched this unfold and felt deeply heartbroken. She couldn't accept it anymore. She told Jenny that she had to tell Riga the truth. When she approached Riga, Riga said he needed to check on his son first and asked her to wait in the study. Just then, Pete's phone rang again. He told Milan, "Since you refuse to leave Riga, I have no choice but to destroy him. I'm outside the house right now." Milan also issued a threat, saying, "If Riga is harmed in any way, I will kill you with my own hands." For Riga's safety, Milan decided to go outside and check. Seeing Milan come out, Pete smiled maliciously. "My target has always been you." He then dragged Milan into the car. At that moment, Riga came to the study but didn't see Milan. In the car, Milan and Pete began to argue. The car lost control and crashed into a large tree by the roadside. Pete fell unconscious. Milan went to the roadside to look for help, but before she could take 2 steps, the car exploded. She walked to a gas station, called the police, and then called Jenny. She told her that she had been in an accident in Pete's car. Jenny was very worried about her safety. Milan said she had managed to escape and that Pete had died in the explosion. She asked her to give her the address so she could come to pick her up. Milan said she could take a taxi back. Upon returning home, Milan was still in a state of shock, repeatedly muttering that it was her who had grabbed the steering wheel from him. There was no need to tell Riga now. Victor was his long-lost son. Let this newly found boy live happily with him. Milan believed she should tell him the truth. All these years, he had longed to find his son. Jenny stopped her again. The boy overheard their conversation. Upon learning the truth, he decided to take action. That day, while no one was home, the boy sneaked into Riga's study. He was rummaging through the drawers when Victor, who had just returned home, stumbled upon him. He pushed open the door and told the boy to put everything back. The two of them started fighting. The police had also tracked down Milan, who had reported the incident that night. Soon, Mary arrived. She asked Milan, "If you were in the car with my father that day, why didn't you save him? Why did you leave him alone?" She pulled Milan toward the police station, insisting she explain everything. Milan told her, "Your father forced me into the car. He also kidnapped me at the hospital." Mary didn't believe her and said she would tell the police everything. At that moment, Riga walked over and asked Milan, "Is what I just heard true?" The two went to the garden. Milan said, "There's too much for you to know. I'll tell you everything today." She recounted everything from when Pete was in the hospital to last night's kidnapping. Riga asked her what made her give in to him. Milan said he told her he would kill her. At that moment, Victor and the other man were fighting fiercely upstairs. Jenny rushed in upon hearing the noise, but no one listened to her pleas. She could only run to tell Riga that the two were fighting fiercely in the study. When Riga entered and asked them why they were fighting, the boy said he saw Victor sneaking around and opening the door, and found him stealing things. Riga asked the two of them, "Is this how you solve things?" Victor said he was fed up with Riga only seeing his son and nothing else. He told Riga, "You keep saying you treat me like a son, but now you believe him and not me." Riga asked Victor seriously, "Do you recognize me as your father?" Victor left the house again. Milan could only sit helplessly at the door and cry. She muttered to herself, "I can't say it. Victor is your real son." At that moment, Riga was also looking at Milan in astonishment from behind. When the two returned to the living room, Milan kept telling Riga that Victor was his real son, but Riga thought Milan was just talking nonsense, because he had just slapped Victor. Milan said it was all her weakness that led to this situation. Riga said his son had already been found, and it wasn't Victor. Milan asked why he wouldn't accept the truth. Riga still couldn't believe it, but he had undergone a DNA test. Milan told him she was certain of what she was saying, and every word was the truth. Riga told her not to say anymore. So the two went into the room. Milan revealed the unknown past. He told Riga that Victor wasn't his biological son. "He was born to you and your first wife. Back then, when my ex-husband brought him home, he told me that Victor was an abandoned orphan." Riga suppressed his anger and told Milan that he didn't want to hear anymore. He wanted to be alone. Milan said that she couldn't leave him alone in this situation. Riga was still furious and kicked her out. Mary also arrived at the police station and reported Milan to the police. Soon, the police arrived at the villa and asked Milan to go to the station to make a statement. Mary then found Victor and told him she had reported him to the police. Victor didn't understand why she would do that. Mary said she was at the scene of the accident but did nothing. She watched helplessly as my father was consumed by the flames. Then she revealed her inner secret. "My father had been in love with your mother since he was a child. When she got married, my father buried his love, and my mother died of grief over this matter. Victor also told him that your father had kidnapped my mother from the hospital." To confirm what Milan said, Riga found Jenny. He asked her if everything Milan said was true. He was furious, wondering why everyone was keeping this from him. Jenny said she had discovered it by accident. It all started when she saw Victor's childhood photo in the room. Riga asked him, "How can you prove it with just a photo?" Jenny whispered, "I also did a DNA test using your hair." Riga said, "So you were all in on this to deceive me?" Jenny said, "Don't blame Milan. She had planned to tell you everything that night. But Pete kidnapped her." Riga couldn't understand why she was threatened. Jenny told him it was because she loved you more than herself. Pete threatened her with your life. So Milan had no choice but to give in. So the two decided to find the boy and ask him what was going on. But they found the room empty. When Milan returned from the police station, Riga told her she never wanted to see her again and to leave her house immediately. The family packed their belongings once more and left the house. They could only find shelter in the park. That night, Tom asked Riga why everyone was gone. Riga said they wouldn't be coming back. But when Tom mentioned Victor, Riga finally understood why Tom liked him so much. It turned out that family ties were very strong between them. He was worried about what would happen if he couldn't contact Victor. What if Victor hadn't forgiven him yet? So he found Victor again. Victor asked him how he had found him. Riga told him he had come to apologize. But Victor said it was too late now and told Riga to leave his life. Riga could only sit dejectedly on the bench, not knowing how to get close to Victor. The next day, Victor called Milan again and asked her why she had told Riga his location. He wouldn't reconcile with him and wouldn't return to that house. Lisa snatched the phone and said to Victor, "Do you know what we went through last night? That man kicked us out of the house. We slept in the park last night. We have no money, so we had to stay in a cheap hotel." After hearing this, Victor was furious. He decided to demand an explanation from Riga. So he stormed back to the villa. Facing Victor's anger, Riga said calmly, "You are my son. The man you call father is actually one of the gang members who kidnapped you back then." Victor felt that all of this was so absurd. "You and mom made up this joke just to make me forgive you?" Seeing that Victor didn't believe him, Riga told him, "All of this was told to me by your aunt and mom. They used our hair to do a DNA test." Victor shouted, "I can't be your son." He stormed out of the house and called Jenny. He told her that mom's phone wasn't answering. Just then, Riga told him again that he was his biological son. Jenny told him that Riga was telling the truth. Victor felt like the whole world was collapsing. After not seeing Milan for a while, Jenny found an envelope left on the table. It was a letter Milan had written to everyone, so she gave Riga his copy. Riga didn't forgive Milan. He tore up the letter in front of Jenny, but at Jenny's insistence, Riga contacted Tyler and asked him to bring the sisters home. He told them the truth, but Victor refused to acknowledge him. Ellie and Lisa then found Jenny and asked her why she let their mother do this. "Because of your selfishness. We have no home. All of this is because of your greed. Now we can't even contact our mother." Facing her sister's accusations, Jenny remained silent, only able to cry in private. At that moment, Matt also told Lisa where Victor was. She rushed over with Riga. Matt told Riga that Victor was still furious and hoped he could avoid him. He stopped at the door and could only gaze at Victor from afar. His eyes were filled with a father's love for his son. That night, when they returned home, the sisters asked Jenny again where their mother had gone. Lisa said, "If you know, please tell us." Jenny said, "I don't know either. Don't always think I'm lying." Lisa finally voiced her concerns. "Just now, my sister and I were discussing where to stay tonight. Now that mom isn't here, we have no one to rely on." Riga overheard their conversation. He walked over and told them, "No matter how angry I am with Milan, this is between us. Maybe she didn't have the courage to face me and Victor, but you don't need to worry. No matter what your mom did to me, you're still my kids, and this is still your home." When Victor was mentioned, Riga couldn't hide her tears. Ellie noticed and asked Riga, "Is something bothering you?" Riga told her that Victor really hates her now and doesn't want her to get close to him. She hopes Ellie can be a bridge between them. Lisa said she's willing to help too. Early the next morning, Ellie and Lisa took Tom to find Victor. Tom asked him why he hadn't come home for so long. Ellie also tried to persuade Victor to come back with her. Victor said he had already decided to leave the city. Ellie said, "We grew up together, cried together, argued together, and laughed together. We've gone through all the hardships of life together. We are family, and no one can change that. Don't make a decision based on a moment of impulse." Jenny also found Riga and said, "Today, whether you listen or not, I'm going to tell you the whole truth. Actually, Milan had wanted to tell you the truth several times, but I stopped her. I told her that if she said anything, she would lose Victor forever. That's why she's been so indecisive. Milan truly loves you. She's not the kind of person who would choose to run away. Please forgive Milan." That day, Ellie also received a call from the hospital. After confirming the address, they rushed over. The doctor said Milan had fainted and been brought in that morning. From her previous medical history, we learned she suffered from a rare condition called tension syncope. When we told her she needed surgery, she left without saying a word. Riga finally understood why Milan had chosen to run away. The doctor added that her condition was critical and could be life-threatening at any moment. The family was completely at a loss. At that moment, Lisa received another call from Matt. Victor was preparing to board his flight and leave, so Riga rushed over alone. He told Victor, "You can't leave now. You need to stay with your brothers and sisters, because your mother needs you. She's very ill. You must stay for your mother's sake." 2 years later, the family gathered to pay their respects to Milan. Ellie took out a pair of shoes from her bag and told her, "Soon you'll have a grandson." Lisa said she was going to be an aunt too. Victor said he was lucky to be your son. As everyone left, only Riga remained. His face was filled with heavy regret. He told her that life without you was very difficult, but please rest assured that he would take care of the children and let them grow under his wings.